Hampton Rhodes has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Greetings and salutations, my friends and followers, and all of you out there watching on Cova Sports TV. It is now a November edition of 757 Sports Talk, and the playoffs are just about here. We do have some regular season games to close out all the action today. Some Saturday action, including Hanley and Millbrook. They're in the Winchester area, and a couple other games that will have a little bit of implication on the postseason. But we just about, as we often do with elections, we just had an election this past Tuesday, Ed. He is Ed Young, the basketball coach at Smithfield, who is now a diehard hockey fan. He goes to every Admirals game he can. He could care less about having to practice. He could care less about the high school football playoffs. He just cares about hockey, folks. He loves the hockey. Anywho, you have a rebuttal to that or no?
No, I love the hockey.
Okay,
now, I ain't going to miss practice or games for it, but
I don't know. You've been at more Admirals games in the last month than your whole life before this month. Anywho, maybe he's just trying to find the hot date, folks. I don't know. But we do have the postseason picture just about crystallized for, we'll call it 20 to 24, the regions. It's about 91% right, 92% right. We hope, we think, we project, and we'll have those for you. Wait patiently. We'll get to them. We have some special guests that will join us as well on the program. We're going to be joined by Tyler Noe, the head football coach of the Cox Falcons, coming up at about 10:45 this morning. And in the 11 o'clock hour, the guy that I affectionately dub the 757's Mr. T, because he has the look spot on, is Jerome Rhodes, the head football coach of the Warhill Lions. But quickly, before we go through some of the scores from Friday night and go through the brackets, because I know people are waiting with bated breath for those. Ed, how was your Friday night? How was your week as the calendar has turned from October to November, and you are getting closer and closer to the start of basketball season?
good week. Basketball-wise, in our workouts, we're trying to finalize some preseason expectations in terms of numbers, in terms of lifting, running. The youngsters have to achieve certain numbers in their runs and in their lifts. And then on the court, we're trying to do a little bit more and more each day in terms of some X and O's, individuals, but also now some team stuff. Friday night was good because I was able to sit back, relax, and let somebody else do all the work and the fighting. There was a couple skirmishes in last night's Admiral game, which I left with about 2 minutes to go. Admiral's up 3-1. I think that was the final. But the fellas got a little testy last night. They Adirondack, I think, had fighting on their mind, because in the pregame, I saw some chirping going on, and then I saw one of the Adirondack guys pointing at a Admiral guy specifically, and a referee come over and said something, and I said to a friend that was sitting next to me, number 44 will be in a tussle, and I think 43 may join in. The fight you played before the show today was 43, duking it out. 44 got in a couple skirmishes, but no actual fight and put in the penalty box or thrown out. So Admiral stood the test of the bullies from the Adirondacks and won the game.
There you go. There you have it. Ed, wherever he goes, he invites fighting. That's sort of how it goes. Good morning to Charles.
Hey, we've been to some hockey games, and I always tell you I'm not big on the fights, but what kills me, this is the kids behind me, kiddies, I'll say middle school, screaming about fight, punch him in the mouth.
Well, why don't you start bringing earplugs? Because you complained about that the last time you drugged me out there to school.
I thought it was a bunch of little Mad Hatfields. Sounded just like it. Punch it. And then here was the kicker one. About 4 rows in front of me, a dad yelled out loud, F him up, punch him in the face. And his son, probably 6, 7 years old, right next to him, stood up and yelled, "Yeah, F him up." I almost lost it because
You're obviously new to the sport, but I guess it was shocking to you that some of the behavior at sporting events, whether it be boxing or wrestling, MMA, UFC. You are a big wrestling fan, as folks know. I don't know why you're so shocked, because some of the things that are uttered by human beings, both old and young, and you are a young, being Ed Young, are sometimes obscene and uncalled for. So I don't know why you are like totally caught off guard by this. You shouldn't be.
You expect when a family, a dad has their kids, you have a wholesome night out, buy them some popcorn.
Wholesome night out. Well, go to the theater. Go see a play. Don't go to a hockey game if you want a wholesome night out.
I love a good play now. There hasn't been around in a while here in the Norfolk area. Okay. But I do love a good play because that's the culture in me. I'm well-rounded, so I don't have. The only thing I won't go to is the opera. That's out.
You're out for the Harrison Opera House. It's not on your bucket list. You know, my uncle once performed there. My uncle Kenny, who lives in New York, jazz musician. Shout out Ken Hatfield if he's watching.
Now I'll go if they've had some jazz going on at the Opera House. Yeah, but I'm not going opera.
But it's okay. So then you would go to the Opera House. You just wouldn't hear an opera. I got you.
Right. I'm just not. That's what I said. I would not do opera.
All right. Enough of the babble, because we've gone 7 minutes in and people are saying, "Shut up. Let's get to the high school football scores and playoffs." What we're going to do is what we did last week. We'll put a little music on, a little sweet chin music, and we will go through what has taken place the last couple nights. Oh, Keith is watching and tuned in from Atlanta, Georgia. See, Keith, I wish you didn't have the flip phone. We could put you on the screen, Keith, because people are dying to see and hear from Keith on our program. They are.
Keith,
but he's probably going to check out some big game this weekend.
I was going to say, wait a minute, did he move? Is he in the witness protection program, or is he watching the game? Program. Keith, what is your reason for being in Atlanta, if we may ask? If it's personal, then we'll shut up.
If he'll say it's personal, he'll tell us. But Keith is, I'm sure, checking out some type of sporting event, some type of pro or college football. If I know Keith like I know Keith. But let's share the screen. We're not going to go through district by district because there's too much on a state ramification. We do have to replay. I'm going to have to do some of the Hats hits because I have to give a faux pas, an apology to one of the Hats hits, which we were corrected on something about in terms of a record that was or wasn't set. Oh, he said family time. Family time. All right, Keith.
Nothing wrong with that, Keith. Enjoy that.
Anyhow, let's show it to you here, the scores that took place on Thursday and Friday night. We have the school full running list for you and the week scores up there on VirginiaPreps.com. Are you able to see that, Ed, or do you have to squint? Can you see that?
I see it.
All right, good deal.
So Thursday,
would you like to read what happened on Thursday that caught your eye? There was literally up there, I'm seeing it right, 7 results and 1, 2, 3, 4 shutouts from Thursday's games. Nothing earth-shattering, though.
Bethel Hampton, a little bit on that high-scoring side. I can't remember. I know.
And 35, a little. Yeah, we're talking 84 points in that game.
Well, and Bethel scored more in that loss than all those other teams combined on their losses. So, but you're right. Nothing earth-shattering on any of those. No upsets.
Matoka knocking off Meadowbrook, based off the calculations you'll see, might have ended the Monarchs' resurgent season. Remember, we caught up with Billy Rudd early in the year when they beat Kecoughtan. But that unexpected loss, you don't want to have a loss you're not supposed to have against a team under 500 late in the season. It can keep you out of the playoffs. And it's looking like, if the projections are what we're showing, it was tight with them in Franklin County, it might have them out on Selection Sunday. We call Selection Sunday for high school football when the VHSL releases the brackets. Now, for those that are unfamiliar with what's taking place in the summer, the living legend from the VHSL, Laura Bickley, retired, so they've not put out PowerPoints each and every week. We've given you unofficial calculations and projections on our site on VirginiaPreps.com, which we have gathered from sources such as the regional chairs and directors that have sent them our way and done the math on our own end. But again, all of the things we're showing you today are unofficial until it gets officially posted on the VHSL website, which we expect to happen sometime Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. So I want to put that disclaimer out there. Nobody tries to come after us and sue us for having the wrong playoff projection and a pairing that might be a little bit off. But again, everything's unofficial, and that just wanted to be I want to state that out there before we moved any further or ahead. But we will take a couple of stabs at some things here and tell you what we think will be showing up with some of the closer polls, if you will, like they have with election results that maybe some out there did not anticipate when it comes to the power ratings and the playoffs. All right, you ready to go to Friday before we do break out some of the brackets here, Edward?
Let's do Friday.
All right, there you go. And Charles, by the way, telling Keith, make sure you eat at the Varsity. That's his recommendation for you on the food side of things. And the Matoka upset helped Louisa, Charles, but so much. We'll get to that. I mean, it's going to help them in terms of where they are in the first round. Didn't give them the one line from our projections. All right, Friday, you see it in alphabetical order. Ed will stop me as I scroll down here with something that catches his eye. Well, that second score's got to catch your eye. We have an ad, by the way. Alta Vista over Gretna, 48-47 in a head-spinning game, back and forth. Remember, Gretna last week came from 22 down to beat Appomattox. Couldn't hold off the Speedy Colonels in this one. High-scoring affair. Appomattox did get a win. You saw a forfeit there. Arcadia beat John Marshall. No, it wasn't basketball. This is football. Battlefield over Unity Reed. Bayside blanks Tallwood. Bruton over York. What's going on with York, Ed? That one right there. You said stop. You said stop.
Yeah, stop right there. Stop right there. I had York, and wow, Bruton put 41 up on him.
So after your guy Blue Smoke, our buddy Doug Pereira burned me last week when I took the gamble of Jamestown, we both had York over Bruton, and Bruton wins it convincingly. And the unfortunate part for Bruton is in Region 2A, they didn't make the playoffs. Remember, one of their better guys transferred out, Anthony Henderson, to Kings Fork, and they graduated a good chunk of their guys. But it did not make the 8-team cutoff in Region 2A. However, props to them and the coaching staff, the kids, because next year with some of the pieces coming back, finishing up on a good note, should help them a little bit. It should be beneficial as they try to get in the postseason and make some more noise. It's a good one. Our man out there, your buddy, your boss said Keith had a late night sleeping in. He was doing some. I understand he was doing some phone-in reports on the scores around this. Look at Keith. He's doing work without getting paid. I love that for our man Keith out there. Let's go to some more scores. Central Lunenburg completes a 10-0 season. Ed, they thump Amelia. Centerville over Oakton, 49-21 for John Shields' Wildcats, who wrap up the number 1 seed in Region 6D. We go down a little bit. Churchill over Manor, 26-14. Colgan doubles up Potomac. Unfortunate for the Sharks, who have a great year in Class 6. Lauren White, the former coach at Brentsville District, Ed, leads them to a 7-3 record, their best ever. Not enough to make the playoffs, sadly and unfortunately. Very, very tricky and dicey on that front. And we see Cortland over James Monroe, Colonial Forts all over Massaponax. Oh, we got a bulletin. Kempsville Cox. Ed had a 2-game lead over me, folks. And one of the disagreements, we'll say, but the other one was Cox and Kempsville. I went on a limb and took Cox. I think I had it 14-13. Ed had the Chiefs and the Falcons get it done. We'll be talking with Tyler Noe in about a half hour here on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. But how about the offense stepping up to the plate, Ed, after they've been leaning on that defense and special teams all year long? They get it done against the Chiefs and a back-and-forth seesaw affair with a lot of points put up on the board. They get it done. 5-0 regular season mark at home for the second time in 3 years, winning it 31-28 over Kempsville.
I went back and forth on my pick for that. I was thinking Cox too, and finally flipped the coin. It came up tails, so I took Kempsville. Not a surprise there. Cox is a team I think has really peaked at the right time. And again, anybody's facing them in the playoffs, you better be peaking or have your stuff together too, because they don't make a lot of mistakes.
No, they don't. And it's a good win for Coach Noe. I know they put Grady Swingo in the backfield. We'll talk about that a little bit to go with Tyree Jeffries, who's really finished up the season strong for Cox. In fact, Jeffries just 76 yards away from becoming the first 1,000-yard rusher in a season for Cox since Tavion Robinson. You know about Tavion, went to the pros, did it in 2017, 2018. So a hat tip on that nugget sent by our pal Doug Ripley on the numbers there. Also Grady Swingo with 34 catches during the season, most by a Cox player since 2008. What else happened across the state of Virginia and in the 757 on the high school football front? Deep Creek had to hold off Grassfield 31-27. They were trailing in this game, and believe it or not, Ed, of course, if you knew some of the math and the implications going in. Hickory had to beat Indian River to go ahead of Deep Creek for the number 8 seed. Remember, they lost Deep Creek head-to-head this year. And they would put them in the playoffs unless Tallwood was to beat Bayside, which we showed you didn't happen. Deep Creek trailed in this game, and they almost lost, and that could have allowed Hickory to back into the playoffs as the 8 seed. But the Hornets do get the 8 seed, which we'll show you, means the trip to Dahlia Drive in Green Run for the second time in 3 years. Douglas Freeman outlasting Glen Allen in overtime. The injuries to Glen Allen, especially at quarterback, really piling up here late in the year. EC Glass over Brookville. You see Essex pitches a shutout, the defending Class 1 champ of Lancaster. Fluvanna over Albemarle. How about this score? It was my number one Hats hit, Ed. GW Danville 50, Magna Vista 49 in double OT. Double overtime. What a game. What a score. Back and forth, seesaw affair. The road team, if you remember going back to the summertime when we did this, the road team had won like the last 6 or 7 games in this series. Finally, home turf is protected, but it took more than 48 minutes of regulation play for that to happen, as they needed double overtime. And I tweeted out with my first hat hit, no shortage of excitement. We had some games like Alta Vista and Howland Springs and Heritage of Lynchburg, which we'll get to, but back-to-back Piedmont District champs. It is the first home win in the series since 2017 as GW, the Eagles, soar high. They fly high to get to 9-1, and they have secured the number 1 seed in Region 4D.
Now, did they win that? They win that maybe like a last-second play, or the second overtime ran out and they were in the lead? How was it finishing that game?
I'm glad you asked. So to tell you what happened in that game, it was topsy-turvy and down to the wire. GW and Magna Vista were deadlocked at 22. Magna Vista took the lead right before the end of the third quarter, 29-22. Eagles score on the first play of the fourth quarter, 39 yards. Alex Brandon to the house. Brandon then scores again with 7 minutes to go to put them up 7. But then Magna Vista comes back behind Ethan. Put up your dukes. 36 all, 4 minutes to play. And with 9 seconds to go, GW tried a 35-yard field goal to win the game. It got blocked. And because of that, they go to OT. Magna Vista scores 4-yard run by Simeon Moore. GW gets the ball. They score an 8-yard touchdown, make the extra point. Stanford Lipscomb scores from 2 yards for GW on its first possession to make it 50-43. Simeon Moore, the quarterback for Magna Vista, makes it 50-49. Joe Favero says, heck this. I'm not playing until midnight because I got to get home and see Hats hits. Or no, I gotta get some sleep. He goes for 2, doesn't get it. GW stops him and wins it 50-49.
Wow.
There you go. Is that a good enough recap for you on the game? I wasn't there, but there's a recap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting excited just listening to your rendition of it. Other than being there, that was game of the year. Everywhere possibilities for that one.
Why it was game of the night. And it's funny because as I first tweeted that, getting back, I had to do ODU women's basketball last night. 100-plus points for the Lady Monarchs. Highest scoring total in 25 years. First triple-digit game in 21 seasons. So shout out to Delisha Milton-Jones, who got her 100th win at the helm of ODU. But just checking some of the scores on X and looking at some of the NFHS streams, I've got multiple computers out. I put this on my Hats hits. I took my pops out for his birthday to one of his favorite steak places. No, we had no peanuts, Ed. I know you're about to ask about peanuts. No peanuts. And and I got in around midnight to do the Hats hits, a little bit before midnight. And that game was game of the night. I remember tweeting that. And then moments after I tweeted it, Tom Garrett hits me up. Look at what's happening with Highland Springs Hanover. And then someone else said, look at what's happening with Heritage Lynchburg and Jefferson Forest. Those games were wild. And speaking of those games, let's go back to the scoreboard. And we'll take a time out here in a bit and give you some playoff brackets. Again, we've got Tyler Noe of Cox coming up. We also have coming up in just a bit, I should say the next hour, Jerome Rhodes of the Warhill Lions. But some more scores as we go alphabetically here. I do want to put this out here. Glenver beat Floyd County 24-6. Scary situation, Ed, for Glenver because Brody Doyot, their star quarterback for Glenver, got hurt last night. And according to Matt Case, who covers teams out there in the Roanoke area, it was a shoulder injury. More on his status to come out. But remember, we just highlighted him last week. Robert Anderson interviewed him, setting the VHSL career touchdown pass record. If they don't have Brody Doyot, I can't see Glenver winning a state championship. If they got Brody Doyot, they have as good a chance as anybody in Class 2.
Yeah, that's a good interview with that young man, too. Very talented. And hopefully it's nothing real serious where he'll have to be out. Obviously, probably won't practice first part of the week, but at this point in the season, that doesn't matter.
Going through some more scores. Yeah, go ahead.
Graham got a win. Remember, they started out bad. That was your preseason number 1 pick, right?
No. They were defending champ. We had him preseason number 2 behind Glenver number 1. Graham beat Glenver last year in the state semi. So let's get it right here. Let's get it right.
Get it right.
It's funny, by the way. I did a podcast with our friends at Wavy 10 that I think drops today. And I ended up they were asking me about all kinds of things, and your name came up, of course. And I had to make sure they were talking about state titles, and I said, let's make sure Ed got his state title from back in the 80s against Suffolk High, because if I let that go without them, oh my goodness, you would have strangled me. So I want to make sure I give you your props. Let's go back though to some more scores. Greenwood over Ocean Lakes 56-14. Brandon Williams and Stallions, another unbeaten regular season. They go 10-0. They've got the 1 seed. Heritage Lynchburg, who I saw last week, they outlast Jefferson Forest in overtime, 20-14. You heard from Brad Bradley and his Pioneers last week, Ed, the coach. They won a heck of a game, 35-33 with Liberty Christian. I think they're the team to beat in Class 3. I mean, certainly they can see LCA again. Magna Vista, who we saw lost a heartbreaker, their first loss to GW Danville. But Heritage, they're battle-tested in that Seminole district, and they've been in some dogfights and some real battles. I like their chances. I really do.
I see another good game. 2 decent teams. Heritage, TJ, Jefferson out of Richmond. No scoring, 9-7.
9-7. If you like defense, that was a classic. I thought there'd be more points on the board in that game. TJ held up against the strong running game of Hermitage, while Highland Springs won on a 99-yard score against Hanover, who took the lead. That was a crazy game. And we'll show you what that does for the Springers and for the Hawks of Hanover in their region for the postseason. Both are still playoff bound. Honaker outlasting Rural Retreat 38-32. Surprise of the night in Richmond, maybe one of the surprises in the state. Huguenot, not that they beat Manchester, Ed, but Manchester, who was 9-0, lost 27-7 to Huguenot. Remember, Huguenot took that L early to a really good private school in St. Christopher's with one of your favorite state areas. Great to be you watch sometime. You know about Barry's college football commitment to play at South Carolina, but since then, Huguenot has been steamrolling people, and they're in that very rugged Region 4B with Dinwiddie, with Varina, with Louisa. Have fun getting out of that region. When you see the records and the bracket for 4B coming up, holy cow. Wait till you see that coming up in just a bit. Indian River over Hickory. You see James Robinson outlasted West Potomac. John Champ with the shutout pitched. Kettle Run over Brentsville. King William over Colonial Heights. Suffolk Battle, Kings Fork and Nansemond River. You had it high scoring and close, but you didn't know, like I knew, that Tyrell Grant Jr. would be out for the Warriors at the quarterback spot. We misspelled Midlothian, by the way, on James River. We'll get that fixed. But 27-8, Kings Fork over Nansemond River, and they got it done with a couple of special team scores that were pivotal. Now, for the Bulldogs, also a little bit of concern. I don't know how concerning it is, but one of their key guys went down in the game. One of the running backs, Preston Hall III, suffered a knee injury in the second quarter. So without him, Isaiah Gilliam, remember Coach Anthony Joffrey, I'm talking about how assistant Rod Johnson, our pal, nicknamed that duo Sonic and Knuckles. Well, Gilliam, he was Sonic, Knuckles, and all of the above, 152 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. But a couple of big special teams plays also played a factor in this one for the Bulldogs as they get it done against the Warriors of Nansemond River in the Suffolk rivalry game. Without Tyrell Grant, though, it could mean a short postseason stay for Nansemond. We hope all the best for him and that he can come back soon.
Yeah, that goes without saying. You lose your quarterback, you're not going to win many games, and especially a youngster that good. The Syracuse commit. I didn't know that he was hurt. I probably would have put the points down a little bit less for it, but when you just see that score, like because Nansemond River, well, they're averaging almost 30 a game this year to get 8 points. Yeah,
they're averaging more than 30 a game. They were coming in to this one against Kings Fork, averaging on the year 39.6, so close to 40 a game. Yeah,
40 a game. And
Kings Fork just went now averaging 38.1. But, some plays there by Gilliam really made the difference as they got separation from Nansemond, which was a little too one-dimensional on offense against the Bulldogs, who had the bite. We mentioned Bird got the win. Lake Taylor over Norview, 49-14. Couple of INTs on defense for the younger brother. You remember Elijah Moss Washington, Ed? You remember that big guy from Lake Taylor who went to Syracuse, basketball stud? You remember him, right?
Yes.
His little brother last night for Lake Taylor, Emmanuel, had 2 interceptions. Jeremiah Farabee runs for 4 touchdowns. Keon Johnson gets a scoop and score to go with 152 yards rushing, and Madrigal Clark has a 27-yard score for Hank Slater's Titans as well in that one. In addition, you had Lehigh knock off Abingdon. I thought that was a misprint. I'm still surprised at that one, 28-27. I was flabbergasted, as we like to say, on the score of that game there. You also had Lower Botetourt over Northside, 28-21. We scroll down, give you some more scores who are Loudoun County and Loudoun Valley both getting wins. Valley's game was much closer with their battle with Woodgrove in that one. Midlothian over Monacan. Maury all over Granby, 64-0, as Damo Everett, the sophomore, had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 touchdown passes, Ed, as he found the JMU commit Elijah Moss Williams. He found Javon Wiggins. He found Damon McDaniel Jr. He found the freshman Tawan Pear. And the Commodores, in case you were wondering, against Eastern District opponents this year, they outscored them 65-4 on average per game. So 2 quick thoughts about that. Yeah, Maury's still the team to beat no matter what you say. Doesn't mean they can't get beaten. And number 2, even more impressed that Lake Taylor was tied with them in the third quarter halfway through, given how many points they've been hanging up on people and just demolishing folks. Maybe Lake Taylor's one of the top teams to get out of Class 3. And, oh, by the way, with that loss by Magna Vista, Titans, if they got to that point, state semis, would host Magna Vista now as opposed to traveling to Ridgeway. But Maury still the top dog around in 7-5-7.
That's agreed. I just think anybody that's going to win a state title in 5, you're going to have to be Maury to do it.
No question about it. Hey, look who's tuning in with this. By the way, Lynn, I'm hearing more and more people are loving the book. We had Lynn Burke on a couple weeks back. They're ordering it. I know there's people talking about getting it for Christmas, so they love the Hampton Roads Football Encyclopedia. I got my copy over here. I've referenced it already a couple of times in some write-ups. Ed's still waiting for his copy. When he decides to stop being a cheapo and buy it like everybody else should, then he'll get his. And I'm not playing the piano in the background. Not happening. No, not today.
Yeah, Lynn, you're one of many to ask, and this let's just say what it is, Lynn. He has no clue how to play the piano, number 1. And number 2, there's no piano in that corner.
Yes, there is. They can see it over my right shoulder, which is the left shoulder if you're watching on Cova Sports TV. Let's go back to some more scores, shall we, Edward? Here we go. More scores. Anything? I'm just going to roll them down here because we're going so in deep here. Anything jump out at you on that sheet? You say just scroll down if you don't like it. What jumps out at you?
On those in particular, Northampton, which is putting together a really good season too. A lot of points against Nandua, 2 Eastern Shore rivals. Northumberland has had a good year. I see they pounded on Colonial Beach. Smith, not a surprise.
Now, you know what's funny real quick about the Smith game? So Chris Scott tries a little trickery. First play of the game, he decides to have Travis Johnson throw the ball down the field instead of catching it from Lonnie Andrews and going to score a touchdown. He decided to throw one and got intercepted. But after that, and Western Branch had a 7-0 lead, it was all Oscar Smith as they got mad. When he put them in a deficit, they get really mad. It's kind of like Maury over there, 56-7 as they just thumped Western Branch. And by the way, Johnson made up for it. He caught like a 34-yard touchdown, 47-yard touchdown. They got rolling. There was no stopping them pretty much as they continue their mastery. Hard to believe it was only, 3-4 years ago? You remember Western Branch knocked Oscar Smith out in the region semis, and they also had a 2-0 regular season game. Tigers, they were young then. They're not young anymore.
No. They're, again, I think very easily can win that 6th title also.
Oh, well, they should be. They're the favorite to do it. We'll see if they end up repeating or not. All right, we get through some of these ads. Go through a couple more scores for you here. Patriot over Gainesville, Petersburg over Prince George, Phoebus over Menchville. I think Woody had the comment earlier. Phoebus is starting to find its stride again, 63-7. Now we'll show you their playoff bracket in a moment. Poquoson over Smithfield, 42-0. Let's stop right there. I know you don't want to talk about this game, but we will talk about this game to give Poquoson its love. Bull Islanders, what a job by them in this one, Ed, as they got lots of points on the board. The running game with Cody Little was on point. He runs for 137 yards for the Bull Islanders in this one over Smithfield, shutting them down, shutting them out. That's impressive. A couple of fumble recoveries, a block punt, 67-yard pick six by Dom Galakak, one of my favorite names, to seal the deal with 8:32 to play. Austin Conley had a couple touchdowns. That block punt, by the way, was by Gavin Kaufman. And the Bull Islanders, it's razor tight. We'll get to that in a moment with them and Armstrong at the top of Region 2A. But they have responded from the loss they suffered just a couple weeks back to Warhill, 35-28, and got back to their roots of playing some real stout defense.
Yeah, for a second there, you froze up. I thought we lost everything.
I froze up. Did you hear anything I said, or did you lose? Did you hear? Did I repeat?
I didn't hear the last 30 seconds of what you said, but
the last 30 seconds.
About maybe 20. It wasn't real long. I'm just still perplexed by the shutout, 42-0. But obviously, Poquoson, as you said, really put it together. Some special team situation too. The block punt and fumble recoveries. Can't make mistakes against teams that good. They will make you pay.
Yeah, and Carter Jones is just phenomenal up front. You know, he and Braden Agnes have been leading the way all year long. Hey, Derek, I love you out there. You're my guy. But I'm going to have a little bit of umbrage with that statement. I think Sussex Central is really good, and maybe I'm sleeping on them. But I don't know if they'll win their region with ease, because you need to take a look at Alta Vista in their region. Alta Vista is playing really, really well, and they put up not just the 48 on Gretna, but they had up 60-plus point performance against Dan River, 60-plus against William Campbell. Only losses were to Lunenburg, who's undefeated, Botetourt, who's a Class 3 contender, and the head-scratcher to Appomattox, who used to be really good in terms of championship level in the past. So hold off on that. Sussex Central might have their work cut out for them if they see Alta Vista in the postseason. They might have something to say to me, and that Derek's right on the money with it, so we shall see. Huguenot did get a huge win last night. Charles is absolutely right about that. That was a big win for them over Manchester. Any more scores here that you're intrigued by? Ridgeview beats Gate City 24-20. How about Riverbend over North Stafford 28-21? I've been sleeping on Riverbend all year long, Ed, and here they are undefeated at 10-0 and going to the playoffs with a lot of steam. And again, being felt like they're disrespected, because all we talk about in Class 5 are the Tidewater teams like Maury and Green Run and Kings Fork and Highland Springs and Richmond Power and Stonebridge and Nova Power. Riverbend saying, what about us? We're 10-0. We played a really good district, beating Colonial Forge and North Stafford this year. And their offense has been putting up tons of points, 50-plus on the board, a lot.
Yeah, I definitely Riverbend. I was also looking at North Stafford in your latest rankings that you had going into this weekend of games. I had North Stafford. I dropped I had them down to 10th, or I took them out of your ratings.
You don't think North Stafford should be in the Class 6 top 10?
I didn't have them. I think you have them like 6 or I had them maybe 10. I got to go back.
I can tell you where I've got them. I think I had them 4th.
Yeah, I don't have that high. No.
Okay. So now you're going to make me later in the show to pull them up to see where. But in front of them were Oscar Smith, Manchester, Colonial Forge. They lost to Colonial Forge and Battlefield by 1 point each on the final play of the game, essentially. And behind them were Centerville, Battlefield, Woodbridge, Lake Braddock, Westfield. Lake Braddock took an L last night. Westfield's got 3 L's. You could argue Battlefield beat them head up. They did lose to Patriot. And you could argue Centerville should be getting some love now at 8-1. But I don't think maybe more than 2 teams should be ahead of them. And you could maybe argue Thomas Dale, although I don't know if this is a vintage Dale team. We shall see.
I think I had Dale ahead of them.
Okay.
I think I had Dale ahead of them, yes.
All right. We'll agree to disagree for the time being, but they did have a loss last night. So let's get to a couple more scores for you from the action on Friday night. Before we take a timeout, you had Salem out west win over Christiansburg, Salem and Virginia Beach win. You had South County over Alexandria City, Southampton over Franklin, Stanton over Fort Defiance, Stonebridge over Briar Woods, Sussex Central over Surrey, Strasburg beat Central Woodstock. Verina puts a 77 on the board on Patrick Henry of Ashland. Warhill over Gloucester. We'll hear from Jerome Rhodes later. How about West Springfield over Lake Braddock? 34-31 was one of my Hats hits that we highlighted earlier, as they were able to get that done, beating the Bruins of Lake Braddock. We'll show it to you now real quickly here. The number 2 Hats hit that we had up, or actually we'll show you 2 and 3, as well as 4 to get those knocked out here for you and finish up the scores in just a moment for you on 757 Sports Talk. You're watching with us and interacting with us here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. You play Smithfield. You Smithfield play next week. Okay, Keith. I'm not sure. I don't speak Keith language. I'm not sure what he means. You Smithfield play. I think he means who does Smithfield play next week? Is that what he means?
Yeah, because he's talking Atlanta. He's got that Atlanta talk right now.
He's got the Atlanta talk. Okay. Keith, we're going to show it to you, but Smithfield's going to play in a rematch of a Bay Rivers District foe in Warhill. But real quickly, want to give a couple shout-outs that we had on the Hats hits from last night. Skyline had a young man, 2027 talent, Zayden Burks, 332 yards rushing to bring his season count to 2,226. And, oh, by the way, he's got at least a playoff game, maybe 2 or 3 to add to that. Can he get to 3,000, Ed? 3,000 seems impossible. You say no? No chance?
That's Madden football numbers.
Okay, well, he's averaging 222 yards a game, right? So if he gets 3 more games, that's 660. It's going to put him right there at about almost 2,900.
He'll be close, but and the teams he'll be playing the playoff a little stronger. I don't think he gets to 3,000, but 22-26, come on.
How about this running back going to West Springfield? One of my favorite nicknames. You know I love the nicknames. You do. You love them. I love them. Hank Sawyer, Mike Smith, they've used them. My man Dylan Booby Wickham at West Springfield helps them erase a 28-13 third quarter deficit. They win at 34-31. Some late touchdowns from Scotty Lewis, throwing the ball, running the ball. They were 1-2 to start the year. 1-2. And they finish up on a 7-game winning streak. Job well done to Coach Parker and his Spartans, the number 1 seed in the Occoquan Region 6C. Don't you love that name? Every region should have a name. Occoquan Region 6C. Not Shaka Khan, but Occoquan. Occoquan. Love it. The one I wanted to give a quick correction to before we take a break here and finish up, hit the final scores. So I found out from our man Keith Parks out there that we had this a few years ago, if you remember, with Brody Adams of Green Run. It was being reported that he set the touchdown record and receiving records, and the VHSL record book had not released the updated numbers. That wasn't turned in, which, again, you can only go off what's turned in, so I'm not blaming anybody here. But Brock Spalding of South County, part of the Spalding brothers, had a great career, went on to play at East Carolina. He actually finished up with 42-33 receiving yards and 58 touchdowns, but it's not in the record book. So I can see why the folks at Green Run and now the folks at Powhatan want to celebrate, and they should. Brody Adams had a heck of a career. Shout out to him. And Ben Whitfer, who we thought became the career receiving yards record holder with 3,400 plus last night. Their season ended. They missed the playoffs, but he's going to JMU to play his college football. He's going to be in the record book. Shout out to him. But I hope they also add Adams. And the number 1 guy is still Spalding, technically, if you want to be official here. But we can only go off what's reported. Since the late Marshall Johnson passed away, and he was the dean of records for all the state numbers, it felt like, for football, basketball, you name it. There's really no official record holder. And as you know, Ed, when they went to realignment about a decade ago, a lot of records got kind of clunky and funky. You didn't know who held the record for what. So just wanted to get that out there in case people came at us later and said it's not a record. We thought it was a record. It'll be in a record book, I'm sure, and hopefully they'll also add Spalding's name, because I'm all for all the kids that have the accolades and deserve the recognition to get that. I don't care who the record holder is, but shout out to them all. Spalding, the South County alum, to Adams, the Green Run alum who's now at Virginia Tech, and, of course, the one who's finishing up his career before he goes to JMU, and Ben Whitfer of Powhatan. And our next guest that we'll have on here after the break is Tyler Noe. Darn impressive job. They close out on a 6-game winning streak to finish up 8-2 on the year. Heartbreaking losses the last couple years, which we'll get into, of Deep Creek and Kempsville. But here they are, Ed, making some noise before the postseason. Would you like to know what else we disagreed on besides Cox Kempsville that allowed me to tie you up in the predictions?
Yeah, let me see it. I think was Lansdowne Kellum one of them.
It was Lansdowne Kellum. You ended up taking the Knights 21-18. I had Lansdowne 30-17. It was a close ball game down to the wire, actually tied in the fourth. Lansdowne won 17-10. So there you have it. As that means the Eagles are the number 6 seed in Region 6A, and the Knights are the number 7 seed. Before we do take a quick break, I know you are wanting to see the brackets, as are so many of our loyal listeners and fans and viewers out there. I'm going to give you a chance before we take a break to see one classification. You can pick it. We'll go to 5 later. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. You got to pick one classification. And again, we'll do more. But which one do you want to see before we go to break for what we're projecting at this hour? He's thinking hard, folks. Here we go.
4.
Of course you are, because you reside in 4. I knew you were going to go there. You're like an open book. You're so easy to read. So easy to read. All right, folks, here it is. This is the Class 4 projections. And I'm glad he picked that one of all of them. You know why I'm glad? Because that's the one that we have the least confidence in, because there's a game today with Hanley and Millbrook that's going to totally determine everything in 4D. So it's almost not even worth showing you 4D. But we'll show you 4A, B, and C and tell you what you got. Hampton's the 1 seed. They'll host Manor, the 8 seed. You've got the 4 seed in Phoebus hosting the 5 seed in Churchland. 4-time defending state champs could run into the Crabbers again, who beat them in the regular season pretty handily by a count of 43-7. Will it be that close again if they see each other? We shall see. Warhill's the 3, Smithfield's the 6. Again, we got Jerome at Rhodes the next hour. Keith was wondering about that because if you remember back in September, it was 32-29 Packers over Warhill in that ball game. And you have Lafayette 9-1, Denby 5-5. Class 4 Region B. Look at these records. The number 8 seed is Hanover, who's 7-3 and lost a nail biter to Highland Springs last night. Yeah, Highland Springs, Hanover was down to the wire, and Hanover gets to see Dinwiddie first round. Cortland's the 4, 8-2. I'm check that. Veronica's the 4, 8-2, taking on Cortland, the 5, 9-1. Huguenot, Spotsylvania, Louisa, 10-0, Caroline, 8-2. How strong is that region, Ed?
Yeah, that's interesting. That Cortland, Verona, very close. People are going to say, well, wait a minute, somebody made a mistake. Cortland's 9-1, they have a better record. They should have been rated higher, but that's based on how the points came out.
Correct.
They don't. It doesn't go by strictly by record. It's point system.
Yep, that's correct. And 4C, the 1 and 2 seeds get buys. So you have Loudoun County and Loudoun Valley awaiting the winners of Heritage, Leesburg, Tuscarora, Woodgrove, Broad Run. And in 4D, the only thing that's clinched is GW Danville getting the 1 seed. Even if Henley wins today, it will not be enough to get to the 2 line. All kinds of math and nonsense below, as you see down there at the bottom of our spreadsheet here. Jefferson Forest, Sharando. The Millbrook game is going to determine a lot here. James Wood is expected to be the 5 or 6 seed, according to our guy Robert Anderson, who's doing the number crunching for us out there. Liberty Bealton is going to be the 6 or the 7 seed. They're 6-4 in EC Glass going in. The one shocker is Salem from out west is probably not making the playoffs, and they are always in the hunt for a championship, it seems like. So there you have it. That is the Class 4 picture. We'll give you 6, 5, 3, 2, and 1 later on here on the program. But we are going to come back after the break. Yes, Class 4B looks like the favorites to win states if you make it out of there. I totally agree. Patience, man, out there. Appreciate you tuning in and watching. When we come back, Tyler Noe, head football coach of the 8-2 Cox Falcons, a winner over Kempsville last night, will join us right here on 757 Sports Talk. You're watching with us on Cova Sports TV. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Cova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up, at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
The thing about you two is you never shut up. If you listen to you guys, there's always pearls of wisdom coming out of them ruby lips somewhere. And it's the way it's supposed to be.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Welcome you back to 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV. We have a special guest with us. He is the head football coach of the Cox Falcons, surging as they go into the playoffs with a record of 8-2 overall, victorious on Friday night by a count of 31-28. It was the 300th all-time win for Cox football, 25th for the man at the helm. Tyler Noe is also a brand new papa, as we found out here recently. Coach, congrats on the win and fatherhood, and life's got to be sweet for you. We're getting close to the holidays, and your team's peaking at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. My son's 7 months old. It's a life changer.
For sure.
Yeah, our team was peaking at the right time. I did catch the tail end of that. Who picked Kempsville to beat us?
Ed did. I took the Falcons. Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yep. And I got the old, I got to get that new hat. I got the Cox hat. Now Ed's going to get on me because I did walk the halls years ago, many, many years ago. Lunch was my favorite subject, as Kempsville, he likes to joke. But I did pick you guys. I was down 2, and I said, I got to find 2 games because we send Ed the picks first because you know how calculated he is, Coach. If I go first, he'll just copycat my picks, and there's no way for me to catch him. So I had to give him the picks first. Go ahead, Ed. What do you have to say?
No, first of all,
it's the truth.
Congrats on the little one. Season to this point. Number one, and I haven't said it. He now makes me take all the picks, and then he says, I took Cox over Kempsville. I didn't say nothing because 99% chance he had Kempsville, but nobody will know because he has the pen. That's the way he is.
It's on our VIP board. Go look on Virginia Preps.
All my stuff is I'm an open book, as he says. I don't hide nothing. I say what I say when I mean to say it, whether people like it or not. Why did I pick Kempsville over Cox? Because Tyler had a lot going on. He got the little one coming in. He's got to learn how to change diapers. He's got to deal with his wife post having a baby, whatever that is. So he's got to make sure she's okay because she's number one. And a little bit of a distraction. So then I said to myself, I'm going to pick Kempsville because he is so tuned in. He's going to see that and said, this idiot coach don't know nothing about football. I'm going to show him. And it won. I don't want no thanks or whatever. I just gave you a little extra motivation.
I tell Larry Rubama all the time, I appreciate when they pick against us because it's just that extra motivation for our kids.
There
There you go. You see, Marty O'Brien does the picks with Larry. I think Marty's put Larry in his rearview mirror, like I'm trying to do with Ed here for the playoffs coming up. But you guys,
Matt's
honestly,
the only one in the media that picked us this week. So
I am really. How about that? Yeah. I feel honored and privileged. That's why I got the hat on. But listen,
I never look at the picks, but my dad sends them to me every Friday. So I've been using them as motivation with our kids. So I just put that on our whiteboard, and it's a little extra motivation for us.
I'm glad you said it because Ed will back me up on this too, and he's a basketball coach. You guys are so busy in the film and dissecting, get ready for the game. People always say, "Do you care?" People send you that stuff, right? Whether you hear about it, you'll have somebody, as much as you try to avoid it, it'll be a coach, a parent, a fan, a player. Somebody will get that to you, whether you see it or not. That's how it works these days, isn't it?
Yeah. And teachers too, like at Cox, everybody all week was asking us about our playoff seeding, and I preached all week to our kids. It doesn't really matter what anybody else does. If we win, we're right where we want to be. But yeah, everybody was asking me, and if we lost, we were the 6th seed, I believe. But we took care of business, won, so we're the 2 seed and host. I'm not quite sure. I think it's Kellum. But
well, I'm glad you asked because I'll put it up here on the screen. You're going to host Kellum. That is the matchup, 5-5. And the 5A we have almost down to a science as far as knowing that this is going to be spot on. The one thing that happened was, we can tell you, is that Salem and Kempsville tied with the same exact power rating. And based off their head-to-head result, if you go back to week 1 in late August, Salem won that game. So that allows Salem to get the tiebreaker over Kempsville. And that means Bayside hosts Salem. Kempsville plays Indian River. Those are both rematches from last year, although they were different seeds. You guys back on the 2 line. Green Run's got the 1 seed taking on the 8 seed in D Creek for the second time in 3 years. By the way, those power ratings were razor close because you guys at 29.5 hold off Indian River by half a point. Bayside at 28.0, Kempsville and Salem at 27.7. So it was really close there. And the Beach, all year long, Coach, the last couple of years, it feels like we've had these tight battles. You guys lost a game. I want to go back to September. You lost a game to Green Run, but it was really competitive in the second half. They didn't score at all in the second half, 20-7. And it felt like after that, you played 2 games before the bye week, and then you really got your offense revved up after the bye week. What changed for you when you played them within a couple of scores, and then after the bye week? Take me through how this team has evolved and grown from the middle of the season to now.
So you talk about the Green Run game, and I'm sure the stats are out there. Doug Ripley does a great job with our stats. Our stats are out there. We actually had 0 total yards of offense that game, and we still lost to them 20-7. We had a pick 6 by Kai Rygard, I believe it was, and then we threw a pick 6. So our defense really stopped Green Run to 13 points, which was fantastic. Brandon does a great job at Green Run, so kudos to them. But yeah, we went into the bye week. After that, we went back to our basic. We got, like I say all the time, everybody knows we run triple option. We run a variation of it. We knew we got away from our game plan a little bit in that Green Run game, but we had to get Tyree Jeffries rolling. Like I tell him, I tell the players, once we get 44 rolling, the offense is going to roll. Bray Heron, our quarterback, has really evolved into a really, really good quarterback back there, and just takes the leadership role in the offense, controls the game very well. But going into the bye week, we knew we had 2 weeks to get back to our basics, playing Tallwood coming out after that. And we put up some good numbers in that game, and I think it gave our kids a lot of motivation moving forward. Our defense is always playing great. Brian Graham, our D coordinator, has a great game plan every single week. So we just know if we can put up some points, our defense will probably stop some teams. And just I think that bye week was in the right time for us. We were able to practice for 2 weeks and get back to our basic triple option game and put up some points, and we just been rolling ever since.
One more I'm going to throw your way here before I let Ed jump in. And that's, we had a few weeks ago on the show after his commitment to Army, your kicker, Bryson Whithelm, who's had a heck of a year. In fact, 8 field goals made, which I think is more than Drew Jarrett had, who was one of the all-time kickers to come out of the 757 in Virginia. And he said something that was interesting that stuck with me. I asked him about, you guys were getting ready to play. I forget who it was at that time of the year. It might have been Tallwood or forget, doesn't matter. It's really not that meaningful. But the thing I asked him was the last couple of years you've had some heartbreak. And he said, well, I think this could be different because the last couple of years we've had some injuries and the maturity of hearing that from a kicker. You know, sometimes they're not involved with the plays, but to hear that, the guys that are returning, did you get that sense as you guys started to pick up a couple of wins, close wins, you're showing improvement in areas that maybe this team has learned from the adversity you've dealt with, be it this year or in the past, to help you on this playoff journey?
Yeah, I think so. This senior class actually just overtook last year's senior class as the most winnings class in Cox history. And we have a lot of guys that have been starters for 3 years on this team, and they're razor focused in. And like you said, Bryson yes, he is our kicker and punter and the best in the state, I believe. But he is focused in the game plan. He's at practice. He's talking to us about things that he sees on film. He breaks down his own film for special teams. He breaks down film so we can see things on offense and defense. And this team has just come together so much over the past couple of weeks that I do believe that they've seen the heartbreak in the playoffs. And it's been tough, but I think this team has the leadership ability to continue 1 week at a time, but hopefully, continuing on after this week.
For sure. We're talking about Tyler Noe. He's the head football coach of the Cox Falcons. 8-2 on the season, 6 straight wins, and a victory over Kempsville on Friday night, 31-28, to secure the number 2 seed in Region 5A. It's our interview with him on Global Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. You're watching 757 Sports Talk. Ed?
Tyler, one thing I want to know, and you run you say variation of the triple option, which is probably pretty tough to defend. When you're putting your system together, I know in relationship to basketball, and let's say I want to be a running team. We're going to press all over, run and one. That's how I coach. Well, if you have a team that can't run, that system don't work. You have to adjust to the style player you have. In football, is that the same mentality, or can you make what you have adjust to a version of your triple option?
So I believe that triple option is so good because you leave 2 guys alone, so it's 11 on 9, and that gives us the advantage, so we can get double T blocks. And we don't have the biggest line. That's the other thing. Like, we can't move guys as well as other teams can in the Beach District, right? So we need those double team blocks. We need to leave guys alone. So as long as you have a smart line, a smart quarterback who can read the read key and the pitch key, I think we can adapt to anybody we have, our style of play. We've done it since Coach Stack was the head coach and I was an assistant for him. So it's really what I know and what our assistants know. So we get really good at it, and we practice it every single day, and we just mold it to the guys that we have, like you said. But it's basically, we don't have the biggest line. We can't run a team like Coach Cherry can at Kempsville, right? Because they got a big line. But we're athletic at the line. We know what we're doing, and we just, it's repetition.
And for people that maybe don't know, in your triple option, in the simplest form, it allows your quarterback to either run it himself, throw it, or he can pitch it last minute, which means the defense really if they think they know one thing and all of a sudden something else happens, that's how you get your yardage. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. That is correct. Yeah, we have a run key to hand the ball off, or he'll keep it and he'll pitch off the pitch key, which is usually an outside linebacker or a roll down safety. But it's just to keep the defense guessing. If we make sure that we're right, and they guess, and we just, Tyree Jeffries with this, he's had 5 straight games with over 100 yards rushing. So we are, I think, one of the only teams in the area, if not the state, that runs it. So it's pretty hard to defend from what I hear. So we just keep it rolling.
And Coach, to follow up on that a little bit, you touched on Tyree Jeffrey's success. We hit on your kicker and Bryson, what he's done. But you've had so many players and unsung heroes on this team that have contributed. Some linemen, some defensive guys that are making tackles that people don't get the attention, the limelight, the shine, if you will. I know Grady Swengo has stepped up in a big way, not just catching the football, but running it for you. Jacob Palmerton with a couple of interceptions for you on defense.
2 big picks last night.
Yeah, so he's really made himself one of the better consistent defenders. I remember him made some key plays for you last year. Just speak on some of those guys that have stepped up for you, and it could be, Jacob, Grady. Name some of the players that have helped you on this run here as you try to keep it going for the playoffs.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our whole offensive line, from our left tackle, Isaac Tomas, left guard, Redding Perry, center Jordan Van, right guard James Cornelius, and our right tackle Ian McClure. They've really stepped up in a big way for us this year. Then, we go on. Zane Perry, one of our seniors, got a touchdown last night, got a touchdown pass. Our receivers, Elijah Bird and Alex Neff, Rex Miller, slot safety at the beginning of the year, but we had to bring him down when Lincoln Nicosia got hurt. He's playing linebacker for us. It's just, there's so many to name. Elias Field plays safety. Barrett Glasser has been playing lights out this year at safety. We moved him to safety from cornerback. And Kai Rygaard had a pick six last night that got called back for apparent and pass interference, which I still don't quite understand that call, but that's neither here nor there. But, it's just Jawan Mack at linebacker for us again this year. It's just the Patrick Robertson, he's our sniffer and our defensive end. He hardly ever comes off the field. It's just like you said, we have unsung heroes on this team, and we don't have one big standout guy. And that's what we've always, molded ourselves around at Cox. We have a lot of unselfish football players. And that's what helps us. Our slots and receivers block for our running backs, our quarterbacks, our pitch guys. There's just so many unselfish football players on this team. And that's part of the reason why we're 8-2 right now.
Workmanlike approach. It keeps getting it done for the Cox Falcons, who are 8-2 on the year, 6 straight wins if they beat Kempsville by a count of 31-28 on Friday night. End up running the football 50 times for 179 yards, and they actually hold Kempsville to just 164 yards. They've been averaging over 250, I think it is, on the ground, and get a couple interceptions as well. As you see, the Falcons 8-2 on the year, getting ready to host the number 7 seed Kellum at 5-5, who have the area's leading receiver in Aaron Smith, Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah,
he's very good. Very good. Yeah.
He's very good. But I'm gonna get out of my basketball coaching stance here and say, Cox wins this game. I don't want to put any.
Here he goes. He's gonna jinx it now, Coach.
Right. I don't want to jinx him, and then Tyler's mad at me for the rest of the whatever. I think they win this, and that second round is going to be interesting because I can't put my finger on Indian River Kempsville right now. I know where I'm leaning, but. And I know I'm not asking Tyler nothing past Kellum, because that's only his focus is Kellum and the little one at home now. So I understand that. But
Indian River's got themselves a good old freshman quarterback over there. I know that much.
They do.
Yeah. See, he's got an eye. That's one thing about these football coaches. They got an eye. They say, "Oh, we got to take care of Kellum. I ain't talking about nothing else." But he's already watched film on Indian River. He's already dissected Kempsville 100% because they played.
I have not. We made that mistake a couple years back, overlooking an opponent. So I won't make that mistake again. That was a first year for me. Didn't overlook anybody, but we wanted to look into the second round, so we broke down some film, and we probably shouldn't have. But that karma's a So it came back to haunt me. So we won't do that again. And Brian's got a great team over there at Kellum. And like you said, Aaron's a heck of a football player. He's a game changer. You see it on every single film, every team they play. You put the ball in number one's hands over there, he can score a touchdown any single play.
I'm curious, because I've asked this to Ed, but we've talked about it a lot on the show, your perspective. Do you draw much when you get to the playoffs in November, and you played Kellum back on September 26th? You won that game 24-7. Do you take a whole lot from the last meeting against the team, and certainly during the season more than a previous season, or do you try to throw a lot of that out as you prepare for Game 11? It is a brand new season. Everybody's sort of 0-0. What's sort of your feel on that? And you're no longer the new coach of this. You've done it a couple years here, and I know there's a lot of the heartbreaking sting from what happened the last 2 years in the playoffs. But what's sort of your approach here as you move into it this week?
We're going to game plan just like we were playing Kellum the first time. But we also know that it's win or go home for both teams. So I know Coach Neese will throw some stuff at us that we haven't seen yet on offense and defense and special teams, and we'll probably do the same thing when I meet with my offensive coaches tomorrow morning and game plan. We'll come up with a good game plan on how to keep our offense rolling, get Tyree the ball, get Grady involved in the game plan. I think he had like 8 or 10 catches against Kellum last game we played, so I know they'll make an adjustment to that as well. But like I said, we just keep playing our game on offense, defense, and special teams, and we just see how it goes. And hopefully, we either see Kempsville again or Indian River comes to town.
There you have it, Ed.
One thing I know you mentioned a lot of your players, Tyler. I like to ask coaches who are going deep into the season and the playoffs, is there a kid or two that at the beginning of the year you didn't really – all you knew was his number maybe. You didn't really know him and whatever. But he's come through the season. He's done a lot of things that in your staff meetings, y'all look at each other and say, hey, man, if it wasn't for that Hatfield kid, man, he's come a long way. And he's done some good things. Is there a player or two that you can throw a name out?
Yeah, I would start with our right tackle, Ian McClure. He came in. He didn't play any last year. He was replacing Brady McQueen, who was our right tackle playing up at Shenandoah now. And we knew that we had some weaknesses on the line. But Ian has really stepped up. He was actually the right tackle and created a nice wall for Tyree on that last touchdown we scored last night. And then Bray Heron, Bray came into the season as the backup quarterback behind MJ Lemke. And we had to make a change at quarterback. And, Bray's taken over the offense and really been able to run triple option for us and control the offense out there. So, those two on offense and then defense, it's always been a big collective group, but I would say our defensive end, senior Tyler Lewis, has really stepped up. I don't think we projected him to be the starter going into the season, but he has played tremendous out there at our left defensive end. Those are probably the three guys that I would say off the top of my head.
Love it. Well, it's been a blast chatting with you today. And again, thank you so much for coming on and also getting that win to make sure that I tied up Ed in the picks. Because had I lost to a basketball coach by 2, I wouldn't have lived it down the rest of the year.
You wouldn't have heard the end of it.
Listen, they say a tie is like kissing your sister, but not for me. It's better than a loss to that guy. So I'll take it, and I wish you all the best.
It takes me back to my assistant days with Coach Stack. You say it all the time.
Yes, exactly. Tie's better than the loss of the. So
let me interject before we let Tyler go.
Okay,
Tyler, you might have heard this in the meetings back in the day when Stack was coaching. We had Stack on. We had back when we had a radio show.
Oh boy.
I said, Stack, you're a grizzled veteran. You run. Put the damn fleet flicker end around, guard in the backfield who throws it just as you hand it to him right over the line when you're 4th and 1. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right before he retired, there was a play he ran similar to that. And he said, coming on later, he said, I remember that basketball coach telling me to do something. We already had it in the playbook, but we finally tried it, and it worked. So, Tyler, I ain't going to tell you nothing other than you better have a flea flicker, end around, or guard in the backfield play somewhere. You might need it someday.
Stack always had a good sense of the game when we would call a trick play. So I'm trying to get that feel from him. We did against Tallwood the first play of the game. We threw a halfback pass with Rex Miller throwing it to Grady Swango, which I think sparked us. But I get a little nervous calling trick plays, but Stack loved it. So I try to crack his brain at school all the time, talking to him about things. So he's just a great mentor still for me. Great resource.
No doubt. And I'm sure that will be in your brain if you're in a 1-point playoff game with 6 seconds to go. Oh yeah, Coach Young said do this. Yeah. I don't think that'll be in the thought process whatsoever at that point here. But we wish you and the Falcons all the best on your quest to making it to Thanksgiving weekend and making a deep run in Region 5A. And we'll talk with you soon.
All right, I appreciate it.
Yes, here's the big question. Have you mastered changing the diaper yet?
No. Well, kind of, but my wife worked a couple Saturdays ago, so I was with Colt all day, and he was like throwing things off when I was changing his diaper and getting the dirty diaper all over the place. It was quite frustrating. I don't know how she does it when I'm at football, between taking care of him, cooking dinner. So when I get home at 6:30 or 7, then putting him to bed. So she's a saint. I don't know how she does it.
Yep.
So
the wives, the real MVPs.
Yes,
on these football coaches and teams. Well, all the best.
You can hear me right now too, so they got some brownie points.
There you go. That means 1 or 2 less chores you have to do this weekend, right?
Correct. Yeah, I can watch college football today.
Hey, it should be a fun one. Well, Tyler Noe, thank you so much for coming on. All the best to you and the Falcons, and we'll chat again soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you all for having me.
Good luck, Tyler.
Thank you.
The head football coach of the Frank W. Cox Falcons, 8-2, and they're the number 2 seed coming up in Region 5A, taking on the 7th-seeded Kellam Knights. We've got more scores, high school football chatter, and playoff projections for all of you out there on 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV on the YouTube and interact with us all morning long. And we've got brackets coming your way next, right here on Cova Sports TV. But a quick word from those that help make it possible for us. Stay tuned.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams Lloyd's, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
After more than 50 years of innovation, AstroTurf still leads the way. The inventor of artificial turf does it all, right here in the USA. We engineer, test, manufacture, and install the world's most innovative fibers and turf technologies, with over 30,000 tracks and fields worldwide. AstroTurf, powered by Sport Group.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here on 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV wherever you are. And we went through, I think, just about all the scores of consequence, Ed. And we do want to highlight more of the brackets, though, don't we? We want to go through other classifications. We showed you 5A, Region 5A, and we showed you, didn't show you 5B, 5C, 5D. We also showed you, in addition to that, Class 4, because Ed requested it, being the guy that resides in Class 4 now. He lives there. It's your home away from home, right? I guess that's what we call it. Something to that effect, I believe. So,
yep. I mean, got to be true to. I want to see what's going to happen down the road. I'm hoping our Packers can get through. Warhill won't be easy. I know beat them before, but a little different. And then it looks like a run-in with Lafayette. Whoever wins that game is going to run into Lafayette next.
Yeah, well, we also have, thanks to our friends at Harp Crate who've been helping us out with some of these playoff projections and brackets. Again, all unofficial right now. There's the little logo from Harp Crate. It's got a little I like that. Pretty cool. We've also been you like that. It was neat. We also had
it was real dark for me to see,
dark.
but
I know. Yeah.
Somebody going,
shh. Okay. That's their logo. Shh. It's telling you to be quiet. Stop talking.
Okay. I get that one.
But we're going to show you their website here in a second that has a lot of the brackets like ours. That we have up on VirginiaPreps.com. Again, all these brackets unofficial. I want to thank them because they've been working hard. We've been trying to find some discrepancies across the board for each of ours. But we're going to show you theirs that they have for – this is really cool and neat and clean. You can click on the hyperlinks too. Ed will like this a lot. There's 6A. You see the buys? Look at that. 6A right there at your fingertips. You can click it, and it takes you right to the team, what they've done this year. Oscar Smith, voila. Look at all that. It gives you all the information. Ed's like, ooh, I'm going to download this app and get it later. He likes it. We've got links to their site. They got links to our site. So we've become almost quasi-partners here this year. One versus the winner of 4-5, which is LC Bird Western Branch. And if you go to the records, Bird is 6-4. Branch is 6-4. You see the power ratings for those teams, what they did overall and in district play. You have the 3-6, which is Manchester Lansdowne. They've met before, but Manchester coming off that loss that they suffered on Friday night to Huguenot. That's what it looks like there in 6A. Your thoughts, sir?
6A, I'm going to, by the way, I do like this app.
Okay. Get it on your phone. I believe it's available for Android and iPhone users. I'm a Droid guy. You're an iPhone guy. But you can get it at your fingertips and also find it online. We have some hyperlinks on our site at Virginia Preps, too, if you want to find it.
When I'm looking at this, if we're like making long-term prognostication, I really feel there's a big discrepancy between 4 and 5. So in other words, I think the top 4 are all going to move on, obviously. And now we have a battle, but I still say when the dust settles, it will be Oscar Smith. And I'm going to just take a wild guess right now, probably Manchester.
Okay. You think they're going to beat Thomas Dale in the second round? And you were just telling me how I have Thomas Dale below North Stafford.
I like Thomas Dale. I'm going to rate him.
What he does, folks. This is his way of make sure he's covering his tail both sides. This is what he does.
Now you got to understand, when you have good OJ, you're able to make clearer.
I think that OJ's gone bad. You've been drinking that same glass of OJ for a long while now.
No, that date is December 3rd on it, so it's good till December 3rd.
6B, look at these records. We talked about how great the records were in 4B. By the way, if you go a little in depth, you click on the power ratings for 6B, you can see the region. Brook Point and Garfield are tied for the 8th seed. So we're still waiting to see if that is indeed the case, how they're breaking it. At this particular junction, they're showing Garfield as the 8 line, taking on Colonial Forge the 1. Woodbridge Patriots, your 4-5 game. Freshman quarterback for Patriot, but Woodbridge has been putting up points in bunches all year long. North Stafford's your 3. Independence is your 6. Remember, Independence offensive coordinator is one Mickey Thompson, former Stonebridge Hall of Fame coach. And Battlefield's your 2 without its starting quarterback who's injured, taking on Forest Park the 7. Real quick thought, I think Colonial Forge is the team to beat. Could be a rematch of them and North Stafford from a thriller this year. Do want to caution, though, this was the region last year that had a 5 seed play a 6 seed, as the 6 seed Colonial Forge won at the 5 seed Patriot on the day after Turkey Day to win that region title. There were 7 playoff games in that region last year. 5 were won by the road team. But I want to ask you about quarterbacks for a second. Callum O'Shea out for Battlefield, so they're down to the backup, and they've gotten adjusted to him. Coach Greg Hatfield's team with OC Chris Haddock, who used to coach Centerville, led them to a state championship. But with the quarterbacks that are dinged up right now, we mentioned Grant for Nansemond River Ed. We mentioned Battlefield without its quarterback. Just the quarterback injuries that have an effect for some of these playoff teams. Can that shift things in a certain way, in your opinion? Do you sway that? Or in Battlefield's case, it happened so early in the year, you don't see it being that big of a factor.
If the number one quarterback goes down early and you make the adjustment with who's ever the backup and you're winning, I don't think it becomes a problem in playoffs. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to say, oh, they don't have a number one quarterback. Well, if they didn't have a number one quarterback since game 3, that's 7 games played. Mm-hmm. I really don't want to hear that, because it also tells me you have a pretty good, well-rounded team. Now, we all know the quarterback, probably most important position in all of team sports. Probably the point guard in basketball might be next. Right. So that quarterback is that important. But you've got to make sure you have enough around him so that when you put the backup in, okay, he's not number one for a reason, but you still have talent, a running back, a receiver, it's a great line, right, that you can offset his lesser skill capabilities because he's not number one. So that's how I would look at it. Now, if you lose your quarterback in the last game or 2, and now you're going into playoffs with the backup, not a whole lot of reps.
Right.
Now
so it pretty much answers what I said. It's a bigger deal for Nansemond with Tyrell Grant Jr. on the shelf, potentially the Syracuse commit, and Glenver, the Charlotte commit, and Brody Doyot, the VH career touchdown pass record holder, on the shelf, because last year Ethan Stowell played as a sophomore, threw for 216 yards and 4 touchdowns when Battlefield beat 8-seeded Garfield, and he's gotten the majority of the snaps this year because O'Shea got hurt in game 1, I think it was. So he's played pretty well, and they got a really good receiver to get the ball to in Keaton Ramey, who is committed to play his college football at the next level at Stony Brook. So it's not like they're devoid of talent at the receiver position, and they have some weapons they can get to. So we shall see. Do you, like me, like Colonial Forge at this moment out of that region, or do you see a Battlefield or a Woodbridge or a North Stafford or someone else emerging when the dust settles?
I think I'd go with Colonial Forge, most consistent, strongest all the way through. But I'm going to make this prediction. The other one, 6 that we just said, I said big discrepancy between 4 and 5. The top 4 will be in the final 4. I'm going to reverse that on this one and say you're going to see a 5 or 6 or 7, not quite sure yet who yet, is going to win that opening game. I think you're going to see a lower seed, either 5, 6, or 7, is going to win the first game.
I think that's fair and reasonable to say. So that's nothing that's too shocking on that front. Let's go down to 6C, shall we? The Occoquan, where it's West Springfield to beat Lake Braddock, as we showed you, hosting West Potomac. Mount Vernon, Alexandria City. Mount Vernon won its district crown. Braddock, South County, probably a rematch. Remember, it was a down to the wire game a couple weeks ago that South County won over Lake Braddock. A little bit of a surprise to me. Lake Braddock's the 2-time defending region champs. They got a quarterback headed to Norfolk State in Ty Jackson. Got a big-time tight end in Hibner catching the ball. They've been kind of the favorite all year long, but with a couple of these recent blemishes, do you think they're more vulnerable on this particular go-round?
Yeah, I could see that. I'm looking hard at a Falls Church, Alexandria City.
I'm not.
Maybe the lower seed.
I'm glad you are, but I'm not.
I could see something happen with maybe one of them, but I would say West Springfield. They'll always look at Lake Braddock as winning this.
Okay. So there you have it. Our man Mike Privet watching on the Facebook. Appreciate that, Coach Priv, D coordinator for the Maury Commodores, former Lake Taylor standout linebacker. I'm not sure who he's saying hello to, but let's go to Region 6D. Centerville, George Marshall, Langley, Madison, Westfield, Washington, Liberty, and Yorktown, South Lakes. I don't think this is cut and dry for Centerville. Remember, they had to win those 2 games down to the wire with Madison and Westfield. Washington Liberty is a very live number 6 seed, Ed. And I said it because last year they got to the region final. They're huge up front, and they beat Westfield 14-13. So this is a rematch game. And I can't discount Madison as they're a different kind of 5 seed. Yeah, they've lost 4 games this year, but those 4 games were to Stonebridge by 7, Westfield by 1, Centerville by 3, and Lake Braddock by 3. They've all been winnable games, and they've been in the championship round and state playoffs, 4, 5, 6 years now under Coach Justin Counts. So it would not shock me if Madison was to get the better of Centerville in round 2. I do think the favorites are Centerville, Madison, and Westfield, those Concord teams. But I'm not sleeping on Washington Liberty. They're the dark horse as a 6 seed that could maybe do what Colonial Forge did a year ago.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one. I think this is another region where be careful. Don't look hard at the records only. Even South Lakes. South Lakes has had athletes over the years and has had some big wins. Another team that I would they may not win it, but I think they can give somebody a problem for at least a half.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's very possible that their offense. They had that crazy finish with Herndon. They lost on a field goal at the end. That game was on a Saturday, 23-20, long field goal. But they've lost 3 in a row. They're going to kind of play with everything thrown the kitchen sink at people and see if that will stick for them on their quest to get into the second round and pulling off a big 7-10 shocker. Let's go to the brackets though. Back with what I've got on my sheet here as we show it to you for the VHSL football playoffs. There's the 6A picture. We're going to scroll down, though, to 5A and 5B. We showed you the 5A earlier. I'm assuming you've got Green Run still winning this region, or do you have someone else when it's all said and done?
I like what Tyler's done over there at Cox. I think they beat Kellum. I say Indian River, Kempsville could be a tough one, maybe a close game. Bayside Salem. Green Run, I just think has too much in them and maybe more focused than ever. Definitely going to get that first game. And then I don't know if Bayside or Salem could present enough of an issue for Green Run to produce that upset.
Yeah, remember the starting quarterback for Salem got hurt early in the year, Landon Curls, the Grassfield transfer. So it's been Cameron Hall. The Sun Devils have been more run-driven as of late under Coach Mark Hall. They did lose to Bayside 34-21 back on September 19th, a long time ago. However, they gave Green Run a tougher tussle, actually led that game into the late stages of the third quarter and the fourth quarter before ultimately succumbing 35-28. That was really Green Run's hardest battle of all the beach matchups that they had. And they've met them before in the region championship last year. I think it was the semifinals a couple years back. So there's some history between those two on the gridiron. Let's go to 5B because this is where it gets – I know people have been waiting for this. They assume it's Maury, right? Well, there's an asterisk and you say, wait a second. Kings Fork's the 1, Maury's the 2? Let's explain, shall we? Here we go. So we've all been trying to figure out this week and not gotten clarity. And again, we're waiting for the official numbers to come out Sunday night from Greg Aiken, the LC Bird athletic director who does the points for Class 5. And Greg did send us some information this morning that we'll pass on the 5D in a second. But, Ed, we can tell you that we've been trying to get clarification on for Kings Fork if, in fact, their game with Wise was going to make their final rating 32.3 or 32.1. Why this matters, I'm about to tell you why it matters here. Because we can tell you that if they tie with Maury at 32-1, they could have tied at 32-3. It had McNamara, who Maury beat Good Counsel last night, but they didn't. If they tie, we don't know for sure with certainty what the handbook has as the tiebreaker procedure. But we're going to assume, based on Kings Fork playing Wise, who was credited with a 9-game schedule, and they got 42 power points for that, going 8-1, 26 points plus 16 bonus points, that would be the tiebreaker over Maury. But we put those asterisks because we're not totally sure. I know in years past, in some other regions in years past, it's been a district title, which if it does go to district title, Maury would get that nod over Kings Fork. They're in 2 different districts, the Eastern and the Southeastern. But we believe it's the 9-game schedule of one of the opponents. And if that is indeed the case, and they're both 32-1, and Kings Fork does not get the bonus points for Wise being a 6 as opposed to a 5, then that would mean that's how it shows. But again, we are not 100% sure of it. As it stands, we're probably on a collision course of Fork and Maury in the 1-2 game, whether the game's played in Suffolk or Norfolk, or do you see someone else in there like a Warwick with its defense causing havoc?
Well, if Grant's not, we don't know about the status of Grant coming back from Nazareth River in the playoffs. If he comes
I would think
back,
it's doubtful. I would think it's doubtful, but go ahead. Yes.
If he's out, that's going to hurt them a lot. And I would say Warwick would probably be, I know Bethel's had a somewhat good year. I would say Warwick would be the only one to challenge those 2 teams because I'm like you. I think it's a collision course for both of them. And again, I'm going to just come out and say it. I see Maury winning this.
I do too, whether they're the 1 seed or 2 seed. And if they're the 2 seed, it draws me back to, you remember 2008. And if Coach Priv's out there watching this, he'll remember this being a linebacker. When Lake Taylor and Phoebus played at Harbor Park that year in the region championship, and Phoebus won by a couple scores. That Phoebus team led by Taj Boyd, who went on to play at Clemson, and Sean Alston at running back, and they had Baby D, Dominic Davenport, again coached by the legendary late great Bill D. Won a 14-0 game. I'll never forget it. It was frigid, ice cold, and that wasn't the Phoebus Lake Taylor game where Lake Taylor shellacked Phoebus a couple years later. A few years later at Harbor Park, but this was a different game, and they won 14-0. It was 7-0, and Coach D ran the same play like 7-8 plays in a row, and they ended up scoring to put it away late in the fourth quarter. Defensive struggle, but it reminds me of that where Phoebus kind of had a chip on its shoulder. They were nationally ranked, I think, by Rivals that year, 3rd in the country, and they were a number 2 seed. And Maury's going to feel like, how are we, slighted? How are we the 2 seed potentially, if they don't get the 1 seed here? So I'm sure that will be used as fuel for them and fodder on their pursuit of a 3-peat. Kings Fork's defense is good, but also we talked about injuries. What's the status of Hall, the other back that got hurt for Kings Fork with the knee injury on Friday night? Another factor here too.
Right. It's a heck of a time of the year to have injuries to key players, the guys that you're counting on for minutes. There's no question about that.
Coach Johnson remembers that 26 right power at right at Priv, he says. Yeah, that was the play. I think that was the play. But real quickly, Ed, Bethel with its offense. Now, what is the defense doing? That's the big question. They're putting up 42.9 points per game. Defense is only giving up 16.8, but they give up 49 to Hampton here. 34 to Phoebus, 35 to Warwick, 2 of those being special team scores. Can Bethel go beat Nansman now with Grant potentially compromised with the offense? I feel like that's an upset if you call a 5 over a 4 an upset. I don't know that you really call that an upset. Is that an upset? It's like an 8-9 in the NCAA tournament. Is that really an upset? It's a toss-up game, but what do you think?
It's a toss-up game, but I always say this. 4 is a better rated, and when you look at these two teams, the 4 team, Nansman River, has a better record. So if Bethel wins, it is an upset, but it's not monumental. It's not 8 beating 1, which would be monumental. So, and I think both those teams are familiar with each other. And again, it's just what can Nansman do to offset the loss of a pretty doggone good quarterback? How much is the backup guy and running the offense, the reps he's gotten in practice? And again, now puts more emphasis on the other players that are out there. One thing I don't think you want to see in any sport is you lose a guy and then the season is just done. Because then what you're saying is, well, he's our only guy. So without him, we have no chance. Well, football, you got 21 other players on the field.
Yeah.
11 defense, 10 more on offense. You would think, could we do something? I understand, though, it's a quarterback. I get that. Look at the NFL. You don't have a quarterback in the NFL, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, and in 5C, you're looking at Patrick Henry Roanoke as the top seed. We're still unsure of the Glen Allen, William Fleming, Glen Allen, Douglas Freeman tiebreaker scenario for the 7 and 6 line. We're still trying to figure that whole situation out. Hermitage is a live 5, Ed. Highland Springs is the big name on this screen. Here's the question. Does Patrick Henry Roanoke get to the state playoffs at 13-0? Yes or no? He crosses his arms and he thinks about it.
My hesitation wants to say, I don't think they make it out. I hate to say it, but their first loss is going to come in the playoffs, and that's not when you want it because there's no tomorrow after that in the playoffs if you lose. I keep looking hard at Island Springs, and like you said, Hermitage at 5. Hermitage is pretty good, and we're not even talking about the rest of the teams.
Well, Fleming with the Steelman kid who ran all over Botetourt last week, and Hermitage has got the young man going to Michigan, Andre Clark Jr. My gut says it's going to be a little hard to get out of there at 13-0. And by the way, 5A will play 5C in the state semi. So Green Run is paying extra close attention, as are Indian River and Cox and Salem and Bayside or Bales in that region, Kempsville. But that's the region they would see in the state semis. 5B would play 5D. So Maury, if they got out of it, or Kings Fork or whoever, would see whoever comes out of 5D, which we're about to show you, which, by the way, get some clarification on this from Greg Aiken that we got a little while ago via email. He said they are counting the Stonebridge game with the Dunbar Poets from Maryland, which a lot of people have not been counting. I'm not sure why Max Preps has omitted it. Others have omitted it. So thus, that's going to put Stonebridge as the 1, Riverbend as the 2. And they're grinding away at double checking, triple checking. Pretty much, they're just doing the data. They figure out they don't figure out the tiebreakers. They let the regions do that. So Stonebridge at the moment 9-1 ahead of a 10-0 Riverbend. You say, how is that possible, Matt? Well, Stonebridge played a really, really rugged out-of-conference schedule, playing some out-of-state people like Quince Orchard and Dunbar. Played Madison to start the year off, so that's probably what's going to vault them. That has a chance to be as hellacious a region final as any, right? Stonebridge and Riverbend.
Yeah, that's a great matchup. That's like a state championship game for sure, right there. I want to. When you say they didn't know if they were going to count the Dunbar, and I'll show my ignorance. When our teams in the state play the out-of-state teams, it's not a given we count those games. Is it because they're out of state? We don't know how to figure them in.
Well, no. This was different. So Gonzaga Oscar Smith was not counted on Smith's rating. Class 5 voted to count all of its out-of-state games. But that particular game, I'm glad you stopped me there. I'm gonna make sure I say this. And we're going to have coming up here just a little bit. He's logging on now, the Warhill head football coach, Jerome Rhodes, going to join us about his 8-2 Lions and their matchup with the Smithfield Packers after we take a break here in a few minutes here on Cova Sports TV. But that game with Stonebridge and Dunbar, I remember watching it too, was on a Saturday afternoon in September with 7:41 to go. It was stopped because of weather. Stonebridge ahead 7-6. They didn't resume it. I texted Coach Golston, the former Washington NFL defensive lineman, and he said, we're told it's an official game. Simple as that. They noted it as an official game, and then later the game got removed by some other services on their score sheets. It's been on our score sheet the whole time. So I haven't heard or got any word from anybody in that region or any coaches or anybody that's in the know that why that game would be removed. But some calculations have shown Riverbend as the one as opposed to Stonebridge. We were told that game is still counting, and that's what Greg is telling us. It still counts as a win for Stonebridge. So there's the little bit of the confusion on 5D. That help you?
Yeah, that makes it clear, because I know once upon a time, if I'm pretty sure I'm correct, they didn't really count out-of-state games, and I thought that was ridiculous because you're playing a really powerhouse from somewhere else, and the game don't count at all, especially if you win, don't count at all. That doesn't make any sense.
Before we take a break, and we'll still give you some time, folks, on Class 2 and Class 1. I don't want to leave you guys out entirely. We got to do NFL picks before the show's over as well on this expanded edition of 757 Sports Talk. We showed you 4A earlier. We'll go back to 4A with Jerome Rhodes here in a bit, but quickly add 3A and 3B, 3C and 3D. 3A has got Lake Taylor as the 1 seed, Colonial Heights as the 8. Norcom jumped ahead of Tab in the 4-5 game. New Kent the 3, Hopewell the 6, Petersburg the 2, York the 7. If there's a surprise in that region, and New Kent's been really good this year under new coach Scott Jerome, it feels like Hopewell, with its history, has a chance to right its season and pull off an upset over New Kent. Now, they've lost to Petersburg as well this year, but this is Lake Taylor's region to win, or some say to lose. But I don't see them getting beaten in this region. Do you?
No. I do think we'll see an upset somewhere, but it'll be in the early rounds. I think this is what Lake Taylor's made for. I think they go all the way.
Yeah, I'm with you. 3B here: Kettle Run, Warren County, James Monroe Meridian, Skyline, Brentsville District, Culpeper, Goochland. This is Kettle Runs to take, correct?
Yes, over with.
Over with, he says. Wow, I don't even play it. He says over with. 3C. Remember, we told you that Heritage lost. This could have been a potential 5 seed for them, and Liberty Christian and them. I think we're going to get a Heritage Liberty Christian rematch. I know Turner Ashby and Allegheny and Wilson Memorial and Broadway are all good 9-1 football teams, but I think we get the Heritage Liberty Christian rematch on Thanksgiving weekend. What says you?
I agree, but I don't know why I keep looking at Turner Ashby. I agree, but I'm looking at Turner Ashby.
Do they have the defense to slow down the dual threat skills of one Desmond Jordan? That's my question for you. That's the big thing. We're going to see if the Turner Ashby defense is up to the task there. 3D, Magna Vista's the one coming off that loss. Botetourt and William Byrd played a classic. They had a double overtime, I think, in the region final last year. That has a chance to be an awesome second-round, hellacious second-round game. But I think Magna Vista, they're going to be a little fired up after losing on Friday night to GW Danville, and I think they get through.
I'm going to lean that way with you.
Okay. Simeon Moore, Ethan Dukes, a little bit too much, I think, in the tank for the Warriors coached by Joe Favero. When we come back here on Cova Sports TV, we are privileged to be joined by the head football coach of the Warhill Lions, Jerome Rhodes. He's got a key matchup coming up against the Smithfield Packers, and we might ask Ed, if Warhill wins, will he get his head shaved? Oh, we might have to see if we can put the feet to the fire there. He's saying, no, I'm keeping the hair. I'm keeping the hair.
It's almost all shaved already.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But the Lions and Packers, a key rematch coming up in the Region 4A playoffs next week over at Warner Stadium. We'll also see if he has any clarity, too, because they play at Warner like Lafayette does. He may have an answer for us on if they're going to play on Saturday or who's playing on Friday, Saturday. Maybe someone plays on a Thursday, because that's an interesting thought there as well. So we'll come back with more. You're watching 757 Sports Talk right here on Cova Sports TV. Now, this from those that help make it possible. Stay tuned.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina, We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better. And it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
It's 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and the one and only Coach Ed Young. Every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Cova Sports TV. From high school football and basketball to the NFL, MLB, college sports, and the NBA, if it's making headlines, they are breaking it down. Bold takes, big-time guests, and a few laughs, especially at the expense of that basketball coach, Ed Young. Catch it on Cox TV and your view, and don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube at Cova Sports TV.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV and interact with us wherever you are tuned in. We have a special guest with us. He is the head football coach of the Warhill Lions, who have been rolling down the stretch. They started out 2-2, had a couple of tough ones out of the chute with Lafayette and Smithfield, but they have been rolling here with 6 straight wins to close out the year, 48-12 over Gloucester, 8-2, and they have the number 3 seed locked up coming up in the Region 4A playoffs as they'll be taking on the Smithfield Packers. We say hello to Coach Jerome Rhodes. Coach, how you been? Happy postseason. It's here.
Pretty good here. Appreciate you guys, Coach Young. And good to talk with you guys, Coach Hatfield. You guys, we're excited about where we are right now. Excited about our kids and our coaches and the work that they're doing. It was a rocky start for us there, at the beginning of the season. But the second half, going 5-0, we're pretty excited about that. But you never know what you're gonna get with young guys. We got a bunch of young guys out there. But shout out to all of my seniors there. We only got 5 of them, 4 of them on the field there right now. But we're excited about where we are.
Wow, 5 seniors. So I remember a couple years back, you guys got to the regional finals. You played Phoebus. You had a really great senior team that helped you hoist the Bay Rivers District trophy and had that type of year. But you were young a season ago, and this year you felt like you were improving, making that climb. At what point did you feel like there was a turning point for your season? We had on Tyler Noe earlier from Cox, and it was actually, in a lot of ways, we felt like a loss to Green Run when they held them to no points in the second half. For you, was it, you had the bye week, before the bye week, after the bye week, or was it not until that Pocosin win that you grabbed 35-28 back on October 17th that really springboarded you guys?
Yeah, it's all about playing to your potential, executing, and our kids just weren't doing that. And you never know when, what you're going to get with young guys. We got, a team full of sophomores. We got some juniors, but for the most part, we got a very young team. I mean, our starting 5 now are all sophomores minus 1 junior at the center spot. We got a sophomore at the receiver spot, now at the quarterback. We got a junior out at the receiver spot. So you just never know what you're going to get. So, we found a way to try to, focus up in practice and work on execution. We felt like we could be a great football team, and our record really doesn't reflect how good we really are. And hopefully, we'll be able to do that. We'll show that going into in the playoffs.
Ed?
Coach, welcome coming on here. And I got to be careful what I say because, you're playing the school that I work at and coach at. So I got to be careful what I say. And also, good buddy of mine, longtime friend, former assistant with me, Paul Hall, is one of your guys on your side of the fence over there too. So, and tell him, make sure that he keeps letting you use those basketball players, because I know how he does. He wants everybody for himself. So let him know that.
Yeah, he's not stingy. Coach Hall he's not stingy. He's a great guy. He's been a great addition to the Warhill community. So certainly appreciate you guys lending him over and letting him come over and help us out.
Yeah, he's been one of my all-time faves, and like I said, he was my first assistant when I got the River job, and he I realized real quick he was a head coach before, and I knew he was going to be a head coach sooner or later because I ain't gonna keep him forever. I think I had him for like 10 years, and then he's proven. Went to Western Branch, beat my butt, and now he's at Warhill, and I got to play him now. So here we go, and he's laughing about it. But
excellent. He's excellent. He is excellent. Fantastic.
Yeah, he does a really tremendous job. The coach, you had that sluggish start, and as Matt alluded to, you did fix it. Were there any major position changes that maybe you did? I know it's probably harp on a lot about it's just a lot of young guys. You got to wait till they mature. The system is working for. But did you make any? Sometimes we don't ask coaches this, position shifts that, hey, I'm glad we did that. That was big, or it wasn't really needed.
Well, here was the position change. At the beginning of the season, we had 6 starters out. They were hurt. We were hurt. We were beat up pretty bad at the beginning of the season. We lost a guy in the Lafayette game who was a starter and went on to play in the next game. We were in the first half of the season, we had a lot of guys out. So what we did, which I felt was pretty genius by our individual coaches, Coach Price, Coach Moker, Coach Burke, Coach Jackson, Coach McCauley, all those guys here on the varsity staff, Coach Powell, they decided to take those guys that were hurt and put them back on the field. And it made a big difference in, the play in the second half. So we're of course, in this part of the season, we lost some guys, but we're just a little more healthy now.
Ed?
And also, Coach, I've asked Coach Snow before this when he came on, is there a guy that has done a great job, a kind of maybe unsung job, and that you didn't really think much about him at the beginning of the year, but then, in your staff meetings, you're all saying, boy, if we had this guy's come through, thank God he has. Is there a player or two that you can mention that's saying that he's really come through for you?
Yeah, there's actually 2 of them. I did not. Well, he's a great kid, and I know coaches say this all the time about certain kids on their team, but it's true. Ryan Klein does a fantastic job for us on both sides of the ball with no statistics. He plays a Z position for us. It's like a fullback, H-back type of kid. And then, of course, he plays every linebacker spot on the defensive side of the ball, and he gets really ticked off at the coaches for taking him off the field. He's the senior. And then if you got 11 guys like Ryan Klein, you can win the state championship. He's won. I was expecting to get that kind of leadership and play from him. But it was another kid, Caden Scales is doing a good job for us on the defensive side of the ball and even at the tight end spot that, I didn't necessarily expect for him to have that kind of year that he's having for us. But, Braden Turns, and these are seniors. These are seniors that, were a part of what sort of the 5 and 6 year we had last year. And they were a part of that 12-1 team that we had, when they were sophomores. So they got the feeling of what it's like to win, and they got the feeling of what it's like to, to come up short. And they did a great job of stepping up, and, Thomas Black and Logan Brown and, all of our seniors, they've done a good job, but particularly Ryan Klein is one guy that, you can't miss on. You get 11 of those guys, you got a state championship.
Yeah, Klein's certainly the unsung hero for you in so many ways. Definitely see all district honors in the Bay Rivers and perhaps all region accolades in his future. We're chatting with Jerome Rhodes. He's the head football coach of the Warhill Lions. 8-2 on the year, 6 straight wins as they get ready for their playoff matchup in Region 4A against the Smithfield Packers. It's a rematch of a game they lost earlier this season. It's the 3-6 matchup in 4A, where you also have Hampton hosting Manor, Phoebus hosting Churchland, and Lafayette hosting Denby. Coach Rhodes is our guest here on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. Tell us more about Braden Turns, because he's coming off that you just beat Gloucester 48-12 to close out the season, but the game before that against Tab that you won 36-14. I mean, he was really impressive. Saw some footage, 16 rushes, 194 yards, couple scores, had like 10 tackles, 2 sacks. Really one of the more underrated two-way players in the area, isn't he?
He is, and he's an animal. Like that, the kid, he's been telling us, he said it last year to us. He said, Coach, I can run the ball, because he was at the Z spot for us last year. And he said, I can run the ball. I can run the ball. I said, okay, we're going to give you a shot at it this year. And he did. And he's come out, man. He's been playing like, lights out, hair on fire. I mean, this kid is flying around the football on the defensive side. And we didn't even start him out there on the defense. We just let him play the running back spot at the tailback, and he's done a great job for us there. But then he stepped over on the defensive side. He's like, I can do it, Coach. I'm fine. I can play it. Because we typically like to keep our running backs sort of fresh on the offensive side of the ball. But he's a singer. You don't want to hold singers back, and he stepped up here on the defensive side, and he doesn't want to come off the field. And I just told him, I said, look, guess what? You're not coming off the field on defense. You're gonna stay out there, and the kid is, he's been making plays for us, on both sides of the ball. But particularly, it's really helped us out on the defensive side of the ball. He's shown up and filled a spot, a void that we really needed on the defensive side.
Now, I know cliche it is sometimes when we throw it to coaches about it's a new season, that didn't matter, but I'm sure there's a lot of extra motivation and anger, if you will, from your guys, because you lost to Smithfield the last time you played them 32-29 back on September 19th. Tell me about that game and how much you pay attention to what happened in that previous encounter for this upcoming rematch, or do you try to throw out so much of it because that was so long ago and we're a different team now, they're a different team now?
Yeah, well, we're throwing that out. That's they're different. We're different. Coach Parker does a fantastic job with Smithfield. I tell you what, those guys, you can tell they're well coached. Smithfield did a great job against us in the first game, and I'm sure they're going to do a great job here in this game. And we're going to give our all. But those kids are well coached over in Smithfield, and so and I don't feel like it is of course it's a new season, because after this one here, if you don't win, you go home. But we should always, and I tell the kids all the time, we're going to prepare well enough to beat the best team on our schedule. Like, that's the way you have to play every single week. You do that, you beat the best team on your schedule that night, and you continue to play. So that's sort of our mentality there when it comes to the in any part of the season. But playing Smithfield again, we're of course we're very familiar with each other. But Coach Parker and I go back to the Peninsula District as well. So we've been playing against each other for a while. I respect him wholeheartedly and the work that he's done. We're excited to be playing a great football team. I don't like playing teams that aren't very good, that aren't well coached. It makes us better as people, as players, when we play really good talent. And Smithfield has some talented guys, and they got a talented coach, and we're excited to be playing them again.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were winning that game late, was it? They got the kickoff, and then did they kick a field goal or score? I forget how it transpired at the end of that game.
Yeah, well, we had issues kicking that whole night. We had issues kicking, and they got great field position. And this is not to take anything away from Smithfield at all. They did exactly what they needed to do to beat us. And it's, like I said, it's less about our opponents and more about us and executing. But we didn't play well. We didn't do a good job in the kicking game. We didn't do a good job on our special teams. And they got great field position, and they capitalized on it. And we had young guys out there. We had a freshman at free safety that was sort of his first start. They took advantage of our free safety. And then we had both our inside linebackers were out, and they took advantage of that as well. Which I don't take anything from them, but we didn't play well, and it's that's on us. We gotta play better. But late in that game, yeah, we were up, and then they put one. They had great field position and threw one deep down the middle where our free safety wasn't, and they capitalized on it. They scored, and we had the ball with about a minute, 11 seconds left, and we couldn't move it from our own. I believe we were on our own 10-yard line, and we couldn't move the ball.
Well, the Lions are playing a lot better right now. Ed is Carson Strickland and Braden Turns, Ryan Klein and company, helping them average 35.4 points per game, allowing just 15.1 per contest as they're taking a 6-game winning streak into the postseason at 8-2 overall before the matchup with the Packers of Smithfield in the regional quarterfinals here in 4A. Our guest, Coach Jerome Rhodes, on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. One more before I let Ed jump back in here. Have we gotten a time yet or date of that game? Because, like I mentioned earlier during the break, Lafayette also plays at 1, or they're slated to play against Denby. Do you guys have any clarity to that picture there? Or?
Yeah, we're likely to play Thursday. Thursday looks like the day that we will play. Being that, Lafayette is the higher seed, so they get the kids Friday. They're going to get the preferential, so they get Friday. So we're likely to play Thursday.
Okay. I like that. It gives me a chance to maybe see a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday playoff first round. I'm all for that. It gets my vote. So, Ed?
Yeah.
Now, Coach, the thing I wanted to, and you might already answered it too. You played Smithfield, and now you get to play them again. And of course, you said throw that game out. But in your staff meetings and your staff viewing a video, do you look at maybe what went wrong in a loss to a team that you're going to play in the playoffs, or do you spend more time on, okay, here's what we did good in that game, or is it more in tune to strictly what you're doing at this point?
Well, yeah, it's more about us. The system that you, and this is just for coaches and any coach, it doesn't matter. The system that you're running should, on the offensive defensive side of the ball, or even your special teams, what you're doing should be able to give you an opportunity to go compete against anybody and what they do. Like if you're coaching it well enough, it shouldn't matter what they do. Of course, then it comes down to your Jimmies and your Joes. But as far as execution wise, how you're teaching it and the kids receiving that teaching and coaching, that's going to determine the success on that football field. And we feel like, if we go out there and we have a good week of practice and we take care of our opponents on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and if we are playing Thursday, then we should be able to take care of our opponent on Thursday. What happens in practice, will manifest itself in the game. And that's on us as coaches to see, what we were successful at, what worked and what didn't, and then go into into that competition, with the best opportunity to win. That's on the coaches. So it's less about, our opponent. We just got to play, as you tell, we play well enough to beat the best team on our schedule, operating within the system and the way that we're coached to do it. We should be fine. It's about us. We can beat officials. We can beat that team. We can't beat ourselves. So we go out there and we put ourselves in the middle of it and not playing the way that we're, according to our expectations and, our execution. And then, of course, we'll find ourselves on the losing end. But we can win against officials. Because officials are people, too. They make mistakes, and we got to be able to – they're part of the game. So we got to be able to play through the officials and play through our opponents. So it's about us and our execution.
I love it. I love it. Before I let you run here, we thank you for the time here this morning with us on Cova Sports TV. Give me your perspective of the other games in Region 4A, your region with Lafayette and Denby and Phoebus, Churchland, Hampton Manor. Sort of strange to see Phoebus not on the one line, huh? After 4 consecutive state championships, the Hampton Crabbers have been playing really well, but your region's got a lot of balance and a lot of quality football.
Yeah, what I see is Hampton is the number 1 team in the region right now. And I'm not ashamed to put that out there. They look great. I watched them on tape. I see that they're coaching. I mean, the quarterback does a great job. They got a good offensive line. I mean, they attack on the defensive side. They look like the best team in the region. They look great. I've seen Churchland play, and they look exceptionally well. Very aggressive, violent players up front. They got a great quarterback. And of course we play Lafayette. They're always well coached, disciplined, and they do what they do. And it's, you got to line up and stop it. But Hampton is the team to beat. They are a very well coached team with a lot of talent. And, and it's not that I'm not familiar with Hampton. I mean, played against Hampton for 15 years in the Peninsula District. And, those kids they play football at a different level. And I'm not ashamed to say that as well. They love football. They're a different breed. They're going to go out there and compete for 48 minutes. They won't stop regardless of the score. They're going to compete. So I see Hampton as the number 1 team, and they rightfully should have that spot. It's the number 1 team in 4A. They're very good. They're well coached, and I hope we make it to the opportunity to compete against them. We competed against them maybe about I think it was about 2020 2021 I was, and we played, and it was an honor to play Coach Smith again from the Bay Rivers. We played him in the playoffs to semifinals to go into the region championship game. But it was great playing Hampton. I always like playing Hampton. They're, like I said, they're a storied program. They're traditional winning. So they're the number one team in 4A.
And for those that don't know, and Ed, Coach Rhodes cut his teeth in the Peninsula District with the Woodside Wolverines and Danny Dodson for many a year, so he's used to some of those battles. Woodside also being part of that conversation with Hampton and Phoebus for so many years there in the early 2000s to 2010s, if you will.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had our battles with Phoebus and Hampton, and we were able to come out on top of those a few times, and we won. I believe it was 2011. We went 10-0 and won the Peninsula District, which was, and we were that team actually. Well, Phoebus had the two had a winning streak then. It was a 52-game winning streak that we were able to take them out. But Coach Blunt does a great job there, and I said I can see Phoebus easily ending up back back up there on top. He does a great job. But it's I've always been like Coach Dodson. It's always been great to play in the Peninsula at that time. We always saw great competition between Hampton, Bethel, Phoebus, and even when Kickerton had the Mayo brothers there, and it was loaded. It was the Peninsula District was loaded. So it was always great to go out there and compete every week in the Peninsula District. Helped me, coming over to the Bay Rivers, where there's great coaching up and down the board here in the Bay Rivers. So I certainly appreciate those battles. But if you don't mind, I'd like to give a shout out to my coaches because they're doing a great job. For us, Coach Price, who's been, he was over in the Peninsula District with me. He was the offensive coordinator at the time with Coach Dodson. Coach Price, he does coordinating for us. He's a fantastic job, a genius, and has coached some really good quarterbacks for us. And he's got another one in Carson, and now has to break another one in. But because he coached Aaron Evans and Tyler and some of the other guys, Donnell Lewis, he was the architect behind those guys, and he's here with me now, and he's doing a great job. Coach McCauley, who came over. He was the head football coach for New Kent. He's got the offensive line for us now, and he's doing a fantastic job. Coach Jackson, as our defensive back receivers, he's doing a great job. Coach Bird, can't forget, he's always been here at Warhill and the mainstay here at Warhill, taking care of the defensive line with Coach Powell. And Coach Moker takes care of the running backs here for us. So we at the varsity level, and I certainly appreciate them and all of our JV coaches, Coach Farron, Coach Bowman, Coach Richards, who's doing a good job for us there. And I hope I didn't miss anybody, but I appreciate all of my the guys that are helping out. These are great, fantastic men that do a good job for our kids.
That's great. And final words, Ed, you're not going to get your head shaved if Warhill wins this game, though, are you? You're not doing it. Now he's staying away from that proclamation, Coach Rhodes.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. That's all right. I do got to get with you there, Coach Young, because I know that I always like to talk to great minds, just to talk about coaching and see what pick your brain a little bit about what it is now to coach these kids. It's always tough.
Well, I tell you, I not to highlight me, but I am so grateful to be back on the sidelines after a year off. Believe it or not, it drove me crazy because a lot of my friends and that were saying, "Man, you've put a lot of great years in. You got the 500 win. Why don't you just sit back and enjoy it?" I said, "Because I didn't go out the way I want to. I just feel I still have something to offer these kids, and it's an uphill battle at Smithfield because we got a lot of youngsters and graduate 10 seniors. But I'm enjoying every single day of it. Even when the kid asked me the other day." We were working on a spread offense, and I said, when we get that third or fourth pass, you have your shot. It's open shot. You can hit. You can shoot the ball. Coach, I have one question. I said, "What is it? What basket do I shoot at?" I knew I was back in it, but it was a little different.
Yeah, that's a big wow.
See, Hall don't have these things. He don't have to worry about stuff like that at Warhill. He has the second best recruiting class in the district. So
look at you. Look at you.
So he's good. But now, Coach, you know what? Like I said, I do enjoy it. I can learn from everybody. I don't care what your sport is, young or old.
Right.
It keeps me going in here. And I always the questions I try to ask when I'm on here is it's not so much just to put it out there. I'm actually trying to learn myself in terms of how you do it, how you work with your staff, How do you delegate to staff and all that? So appreciate what you're doing in the business too. And I want to wish you luck.
But he doesn't.
I can't because it's Smithfield, man. I got to have, Tracy and I shared an office in Nez River for years, and I learned a lot from Tracy too, and some of his exploits back when he was playing and all that too. But, if you get by Smithfield, I definitely wish you all the luck in the world. But right now, I'm going to lean my luck towards Smithfield, but I'm sure you understand.
Well, look, if I could ask you this here, Coach, I mean, because I said I got you on here right now. I mean, y'all got me on, so I may as well ask the Coach. Just one thing that you do to get the buy-in, from your program. What is it that one thing that you do to get the buy-in from your players and parents?
Well, I try to take what the kids can do and see if I can use it in my system. My system is what players I would have. I can't just say we're going to be a running team and we're throwing the ball out the window all the time. We can't run them. We're going to have to do something different. Over the years, being the old school coach that I am, we'll go over stuff. We'll go through it. I always tell my coaches, do not expect or get on somebody something we haven't taught them. I don't care how easy or simple it is. If it's a left-hand layup, then we haven't taught it, then don't get on it. Now we teach it. We bring them through it. Now we hold them to it. And the secret of all that is I simply say to them, I always have a chair in practice. I said, do you want to be out here or do you want to sit on that chair during the game? Which one do you want to do? And so far, I think that's part of my success all these years. They kind of like to stay on the field or on the court in my eyes. So that's as simple as I can say it.
As long as you don't throw the chair like Bobby Knight, you're in good shape. As long as you don't throw the chair, just don't throw the chair.
I've never done it. This guy wants to see me get teched and thrown out of every game. He instigates stuff with the officials when I'm there. But, Coach, I've only had like 6 technicals in my career, never been thrown out of a game. So this guy just wants to see me fail. But I'm okay. I'm trying to get through the program with them. I deflect a lot of stuff that comes towards him. So he's a good dude.
Well, Coach, we thank you so much for coming on the program today. All the best to you. I'll wish you luck, even though Ed can't. And by the way, if I pick you to win and Ed picks the Packers, it just helps me get a 1-game lead if you take care of business. So that's all that matters to me in my world of predictions. After I caught him last night, he had the regular season lead on me for much of the season. But in all seriousness, another great job by you and your staff and your kids. Enjoy the postseason run, and we'll talk again soon.
No, I appreciate y'all. Shout out to y'all for all the love y'all have for sport.
You got it. Thank you, Coach. That is Jerome Rhodes, the head
good
football
luck. I will
coach.
say good luck to you. If you get by Smithfield, I wish you all the luck in the world. Knock them all off.
There you go. Thank you, Coach. That's Jerome Rhodes with us, the head football coach of the Warhill Lions, our guest on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. We'll come back with more right here on Cova Sports TV, including the brackets for Classes 2 and Class 1, along with the NFL picks. You're watching 757 Sports Talk, and they're watching it where, Ed?
Right here on Cova Sports TV.
Now this from some that make it possible.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there, because here you are more. One Life Fitness.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
I'm Dr. Mark Cardelia, orthopedic surgeon and surgical director of the CHKD Sports Medicine Program. We see a lot of knee injuries in student athletes these days, and many of these are ACL tears. Parents often ask how to know when a knee injury may be serious. The most obvious symptom is severe pain or swelling in the knee joint. Your child may have heard a pop when the injury occurred. Look for signs they can't put weight on the knee around 48 hours after the injury, or if the knee feels unstable or wobbly. Those are all signs you should see a CHKD sports medicine specialist. Our sports medicine physicians, surgeons, athletic trainers, and physical therapists understand the needs of growing athletes and tailor treatment to fit each child's age and level of activity. Our goal is to accurately diagnose the problem in a timely fashion and provide the treatment that will ensure a safe return to activity. Kids want to play, and we want to help them get back in the game. To learn more, visit chkd.org. Sports medicine at CHKD. We're more than a hospital.
Hampton Rhodes has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here! We got people all over the globe watching with us. Sitting in a phone booth with you would be very...
well, no, we got to have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in a phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. Hey, Alexa, do you like me?
I think you're magnificent.
Aw, I appreciate that.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Alexa said I'm magnificent. Ed's got OJ. Is that magnificent? As magnificent as me?
Magnificent OJ. And just remember, Alexa was one time Alex.
Say what? Run that by me again. Whoa. Did you say Alexa one time was Alex?
Yep. Look it up.
Hey, Alexa, were you one time Alex?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Did you hear her? She said, I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. I don't think that's accurate.
Doesn't know how to let you down.
Oh, stop it. You're starting. Why are you starting trouble? Why are you starting trouble today? Speaking of trouble, it's going to be trouble for anybody to get out of Region 2A. Now, we've got an or there. Based on my unofficial calculations, and again, we are still waiting to see if this is accurate, Armstrong or Pocosin, it's looking like, and again, we don't know how they're calculating a couple things on the power ratings with certainty. It looks like now that Armstrong is going to probably outpoint Pocosin 28-8 to Pocosin's 28-2, but we're just waiting to get clarification on that, if that is indeed the case. We were unsure of the situation with Hertford for Armstrong on its power rating, but we are pretty sure that Pocosin is going to end its power rating at 28-2. But regardless of the 1-2, those two might be on a collision course in the region final. Although Thomas Jefferson of Richmond, they've got something to say. We're also unsure with the tiebreaker of King William and Southampton. Didn't play each other. If it comes on the overall record, that might bump Southampton. But again, there's a couple of things with the out-of-district opponents that we're a little fuzzy on. So that one is not one we can call yet. It's not the election race we can call and declare this team a winner, this Republican or Democrat a winner like the election we just had this past Tuesday. So that's what it looks like there. Lunenburg, I think, would like another crack at Southampton, who knocked them out 2 years ago in the playoffs. But here's the question for you. Would you rather be the one or the two if you're Armstrong or Pocosin? Because the logic says you'd rather be the one. Armstrong played TJ earlier this year, a game that got halted because of weather and then resumed. And in that game, Armstrong ended up having to hold on for dear life to win over the Vikings 21-14, who showed their defensive mettle, of course, on Friday night in the close loss to Hermitage. So in a weird, strange way, would you rather be the 2 seed, Ed, than the 1 and see an undefeated Lunenburg perhaps in the second round?
Yeah, I'm taking the 1 seed because even though TJ's tough, if I'm Armstrong, I have a rivalry with TJ. We know them fairly well. And yes, it could go either way because it's a big rival. I'd say the team, Central Lunenburg, I'd be really worried. Central Lunenburg, 10-0. Now, sometimes we start looking at records and say, stop looking at the record. You don't know who they played or they haven't played a real strong team. I mean, even Nottoway at 7-3, it's a nice record for an 8th seed, even though they got to play number 1. But they know how to win. Let's put it that way. Unless they
but they've had a couple of lopsided losses to Buckingham and Lunenburg. And Anton Carter Jr., their best player, has been injured here. Going back to injuries, he's a running back, linebacker committed to William and Mary. So I'm not sure they're as big a threat. But Lunenburg, you're good point. Will Thomas, heck of a coach, really good staff. Chad Maddox at quarterback, linebacker. He's one of the best players in that whole region. Jalen Freeman at running back can run it, and they've got a nice defense that's sort of rounded into form at the right time. So they could be better than some are anticipating. George Waters, I don't want to know about. Go ahead. What was you going to say?
No, let's say before we get to George, King William. And I'd say one of the squads in the past put 50, 60 points on the board.
That was when they had DeMond Claiborne, yes. And there's still no slouch because Scott Moore's team had a lot of youngsters, new faces. They beat Amelia, Westmoreland, then lost to Essex and Caroline, as well as Armstrong consecutively. So they could see Armstrong again. That Armstrong loss was 35 donut. But since then, they've been rocking and rolling as they have posted here 5 straight wins to go into the playoffs on a high. And I think that's going to help them out a great deal. George wanted to know about 5A. We'll go back to it. If you missed the show earlier, you can scroll back on YouTube, wherever you're watching. I'm not sure he's watching, I think, on Facebook. That's your 5A bracket, Coach. It looks like Kempsville, Indian River's your 3-6 game based on the tiebreaker with Kempsville and Salem head-to-head. Bayside Salem's your 4-5. Deep Creek got the 8 seed by holding on against Grassfield. And Cox Kellum is your 2-7 matchup in round number 1 in 5A. But let's go back to 2B as well as 2C and 2D before we take a timeout and do our NFL picks for this particular episode here in November. To remember, they're taking 6 teams to the playoffs in 2B, Ed, just like 6A and 5D as opposed to 8. So Strasburg and Buckingham get the buys. I like Strasburg to come out of here. I don't think Stewart's draft, Madison County, Central Woodstock, Fort Defiance derail them. Madison County last year as an 8 seed knocked off Clark County a 1 seed. So beware of them, Stewart's draft. That is not an easy first-round game for all of you out there as you try to advance to the regional semis after their loss to Wilson Memorial last night for the Cougars of Stewart's draft. So I like Strasburg coming out of that region. You?
I might go Buckingham.
You might go Buckingham. A-Dub wants to know, where is Lake Taylor? I love the people interacting with us. Lake Taylor's back in 3A where we showed you them earlier before Coach Rhodes. A-Dub, number 1 seed, going to play the 8 seed Colonial Heights. Then they'll get, if they win that, the winner of Norcom Tab. Could be a rematch of an Eastern District game from earlier this year that the Titans were able to win over the Greyhounds, pulling away in the second half by a count of 40-26. Could be a lot of points on the board. Norcom's playing a little bit better than they were earlier. Lake Taylor's the hands-down favorite in this region. You got New Kent, Hopewell, Petersburg, York in the bottom half of that bracket. So I hope I helped you out there, A-Dub.
Also A-Dub, in case I misunderstood the question, Lake Taylor is located in Norfolk.
He meant on the bracket. I'm pretty sure he knows.
I didn't see. At first, I didn't know that. I didn't know this was a person.
Stop it. He didn't mean no. A-Dub knows where Lake Taylor is. Now you're being a funny guy. You're trying to be a
A-Dub, I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with you.
Don't mess with people now. Don't do that. It's not nice. 2C. We mentioned we don't know the status of the injury to Doyot. I think Glenver wins this region without much trouble if Doyot is 100%. But if he doesn't play, opportunity is there for Gretna, whose only losses came at the start of the season and end of the regular season as they lost the opener to Jefferson Forest and lost by a whisker on Friday night to Alta Vista. Rest of this region, no disrespect to those teams that were all 5-5 or 6-4, but you're just not at the same level of Glenvar and Gretna, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that discrepancy gets, I'm talking about between 4 and 5s. This one here might be between 1 and 2. That discrepancy drops a lot. But playoffs, crazy things happen. You never know. But Glenvar, I'm sticking with and Gretna to play each other in the championship.
Okay. Glenvar. All right. Love it. I think A-Dub just laughed. I got the emoji reaction. That's funny. 2D, as in dog. Union Bears. I love the Union Bears, what they got going on over there with Keith Chandler running the football, Cam Bostic at quarterback. You used to love their state championship team a few years ago when they had that quintet of Bradley Bunch and Malachi Jenkins and Peyton Honeycutt and Sean Quizano. That group, that was a fun team that beat the state finals.
Yep. Classic forever, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Union
Graham's
Bears.
Graham's G-Men, they're the 4 seed, Gate City with Walker Hillman, 1,000-yard back. But Graham is starting to rev up here. Graham lost to Union. I watched this. This was a great game on the NFHS Network back in September. It was not close. Graham was battling some injuries. They've had some memorable battles over the years. Union won that game 28-7 on September 11th. They're going to see each other again, and will it be the same outcome? And then question 3, after questions 1 and 2 that you answer, does Union make it to the state playoffs unbeaten at 13-0, or does somebody else get there instead of them?
The Union Bears, turn your head or put your fingers in your ears. I think Graham gets by Gate City and beats Union.
Do you really? You're going with the defending champ because you can never underestimate the heart of a champion, Rudy T. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm just, it's just a hunch. Could be indigestion, but I think it's a hunch. I'm going with Graham to beat Union. Now, the question is, does Ridgeview come out on the other end or Virginia High? I mean, it's a little bit more closer with those other 4 teams.
Yeah, I think there will be some high-scoring games in those quarterfinals and semifinals. Lebanon with the quarterback in Reese. Virginia High's been getting it going with Deion Graham leading the way. Ridgeview, they actually scored some points on Union, and they've been putting up points all year long. I was wondering about how efficient their offense would be and explosive, but it's been mighty strong. Only loss was that Mountain 7 game to Union, and that was actually a pretty competitive game, Ed. I go back to it with them, 42-21. They pulled away second half. But you said you got a hunch. Union, I'm telling you, you want to go give Ed Young a punch. Pow, right in the kisser. I think you get through. I know Graham's really good, and they're the defending champ, but I think you get through. Now, we'll get to Class 1. Do have a note from our man Robert Anderson on Class 1 here. Looks like there's going to actually be a shift in the numbers we're hearing. At least it's what he's projecting. So I'm going to tell you about that in a moment when we get to 1C. But 1A, Ed, you're looking at, and we have them asterisk by Rappahannock because they're in action today, I think it is, against Westmoreland. I think that's a game today. So that could determine some things there. But I still think they're going to be locked into that 3. Well, maybe not locked in. Probably going to be that 3 seed either way. Essex is the 1. Northumberland's the 4. I don't see any upset here. This region had a couple upsets in recent years, but I think the top 4 are going to be chalk. Remember now, going to Essex for a second. They played a really high-scoring game with Northumberland just a couple weeks back, pretty recent here. They won that game 62-42. They also played a 52-30 game with Sussex Central in the season opener in late August. They beat Rappahannock 22-0. Remember, last year they lost to Rappahannock regular season and beat them soundly in the region championship. But I just think Essex, I think this is where their defense picks it up another notch like last year, and I think they're going to go on this quest to repeat. Rappahannock has some dangerous offensive parts, and Tyreek Lundy, the quarterback for Northumberland, if he gets hot and gets time to throw, he can carve up the Essex defense. The question is going to be, Essex runs the same plays over and over again. Can you stop it? I'm not sure any of these teams have the defensive personnel to stop it, to go with an Essex defense that's likely to get strong again.
I agree with you. I think as Essex steps through this competition.
Okay, you're with me. You're on board. I like it. Region 1B. This is where our man Derek was saying earlier, it's Sussex Central to breeze through. Look at the 9-1 record. You say, I'm with you. I'm with you, Derek. But Alta Vista, they've been to states the last 2 years. Colonels have quick strike ability. They can score on special teams, which they've done a number of times this year. That's the always X factor there. Luray, Buffalo Gap. What about Riverheads at 6-4? Back in Class 1 where they dominated for years with their 7-8 state titles. They were just a machine, the big red machine, if you will. Riverheads this year has lost 4 football games, and they've been by 4 to Alta Vista, maybe a rematch, by the way, by 2 scores to Stewart's Draft, 2 scores to Wilson Memorial, and by 7 to Allegheny, and again, they led late. What do you think?
I'm like Derek. I think I'm going to lean towards Sussex Central.
Okay. What's your reasoning?
I think they have a better overall team than what I'm looking at on here. But before you started talking about Riverhead, my eyes were looking at Riverheads thinking past. Sometimes you got to get out of the past and take care of the present, or your future will be very slim. But team knows how to win. No, the record's not glowing, but it's a winning record. And, this time of the year, how have you played in your last, I'm going to say 3 games, roughly, as opposed to the first 3-4 games that's back in end of August and September? What have you done now? That's what you really got to look at. And I'm not going to turn a blind eye to Alta Vista. I know you're very high on them. They win. I would say that in this division here too, though, I don't see any first round upsets because, again, disparity of records is too much.
Last 3 games for Sussex Central, they blanked Surrey 48-0, beat Brunswick 28-8, and defeated Franklin 56-6. As for Alta Vista, or I should say, well, I'll give you the last 3 games real quick. They beat Gretna 48-47, William Campbell 63-0, lost to Appomattox 13-0. So it's strange that they scored 111 points their last 2 games. We got shut out the game before that. And then in the case of Riverheads, they have beaten Waynesboro 35-27, Stanton 26-0, lost to Allegheny 29-36. So I feel like they're kind of coming on, but we shall see if they stay on. Now, I did get a note from Robert as we show you this 1C bracket here. It looks like, and I'm going to explain to you why this is on the screen going to be probably incorrect and tell you what he told me. We've got Craig County at the 1 right now, and we've got Giles at the 2, but it's probably going to change. He got a hold of Laura Bickley, I think, and asked how they handled it. The rider points from Craig County, they're not counting the second game for Bland against Twin Valley. Not sure if it's set in stone. Not sure if other regions count double games or not, but that's going to impact some of this 1C. So take this with a grain of salt. It's not official. It's totally unofficial. Craig County lost late in the regular season to Narrows, one of our picks in the top 10, Coach Kelly Lowell's team that likes to throw the football. And you love throwing the football, Ed. They're a live number 4 seed. George Wythe has got history. But I know Grayson County has the 4 losses. I know Giles put it on George Wythe on Friday night, beat them really soundly 53-20. But I like Grayson County in this region. I'm going to tell you why. They've been to the state championship game as recent as last year. And they took some early losses to good teams. Allegheny of North Carolina by 7, Floyd County at Class 2, Virginia High at Class 2 by 1, lost to Wythe by 2. And you talk about what you're doing the last few games. They've beaten Giles by 8, shut out Fort Chiswell, shut out Auburn. So I think Grayson County's playing the best right now of that group.
Good. I'll just say to you, good pick. I'm going to dump on number 1, too. I'm going with Giles.
Okay. Whether Giles is in the 1 or 2 line, because they could move up to the 1 line.
Yeah, you're right. And then I'm going to stay with them if they're at 1.
Okay. And you got them potentially winning a rematch with Grayson, I'm thinking, 14-6 game that was back on October 24th. Okay. And 1D that we're pretty sure about 1D here. It is Eastside is the 1, Rural Retreat is the 8, Honaker, Northwood, Rye Cove, Holston, Chilhowie, and Twin Springs. I've talked with Coach Mike Rhodes before at Eastside. Love his team. Keldon Hamilton, best 2-way player, I think, in Class 1. All of his guys that are juniors and sophomores, so they're coming back. I think Eastside's going to lay the foundation for getting to the state championship. Whether they win it or not, we shall see who they see. but I liked them to get out of this region. Chilhowie was if you remember back in the summertime, your most improved team was Lake Taylor. They went from 3-7 to 8-2. My most improved was Chilhowie, who went from 3-7 to 9-1. Not bad picks for us there. We might have some mess ups, some bad choices on other games we pick, but we nailed those two, didn't we? We nailed those.
Yep, I'll give you credit for that one. I'll take a little bit of credit for mine.
You should.
This region, I'm going to say East Side, but why am I looking at Northwood?
No, you're the one you need to be looking. No. No disrespect to Northwood. The one you need to be looking at is Rye Cove. Lost their opener to Lord Botetourt. They beat Eastside in the region championship last year. They lost to them 24-12 this year, lost to Chilhowie by 11. But Rye Cove's got some playoff experience. That's the one I would be more circling on Northwood. I'd actually be surprised if Northwood got past Honaker, who's got a really good freshman quarterback who can sling that puppy, Mr. Lau at QB. That could be fun to see if Honaker's offense could put some points up in rounds 1 and, dare we say, round 2. But I like Eastside when it's all said and done. I think it's their time. There you have it.
Going East Side.
And speaking of time, it is now time to take a break because when we return, we are going to make our Week 10 picks in the National Football League. And, Ed, would you like to know how you did last week?
Pretty good. I think I was 2-1.
No, you weren't. You were 0-3. 0 dubs, 3 L's. You had over 43.5 with Packers and Panthers. That was a 16-13 Carolina win. You had the G-Men, the Giants, plus 2.5. San Fran beat them 34-24. And you had New England, minus 4.5. Should have lost outright to the Falcons if they could kick the ball. They have never kicked field goals or extra points. Did win 24-23 outright. So you go 0-3. Bruce Pearl had a rough week too. He had Houston minus 1.5. Broncos won 18-15. Had the Colts minus 3.5. Steelers beat them. And he had Jacksonville minus the 2.5. They won, but the 2-point conversion meant that your Raiders were unsuccessful with Pete Carroll. Meant he didn't cover the spread. I went 1-2. My only win was under 40.5 with Broncos Texans with an 18-15 final score. I lost on Washington plus 3. What was I drinking or thinking? Seattle just stomped on them on Sunday night. And I also lost outright with the Lions minus 8.5. The Vikings beating them 27-24, much to the delight of one Nick Cinti out there. So that's coming your way next right here on 757 Sports Talk and Cova Sports TV. Travis Lucas out there rocking with the Cortland Cougars, he says. Go Cortland. Tough region, Travis. They got a tough region as we scroll back up to it real fast before break. They're in Region 4B, which is no picnic, folks. They got to deal with Verina in the first round. That is a hard game. Don't love your chances. And Adam Wynn wants to know about 5A is wide open. Any upset predictions? Real quickly, Ed, give us your first round upset in class. I don't know if you meant class 5 or Region 5A. There's Region 5A. Do you see an upset there? Yes or no?
No, I don't. Kellam's not beating Cox. Kempsville, maybe they'll give Indian River a game for 3 quarters. And Kempsville's very good, but I'm going to lean towards Indian River, I think.
Yep. Let them at halftime last year, by the way.
Yeah. I don't see a
5B. I told you that Bethel Nansman, that's the one that keeps lingering to me. It keeps lingering.
That's the only potential shot.
Only potential shot. I would probably concur with you. That one, we're still waiting to see what Freeman and Glen Allen are. If Glen Allen had a healthy quarterback in Ralphie Puccinelli, I would say they have a shot against Fleming or Springs under Coach Malik Sexton. I think his Jaguars are just kind of handcuffed without a healthy Puccinelli at quarterback. So many quarterbacks, by the way. Good Lord, we keep talking about these quarterbacks. Grant, Puccinelli, Doyot. Quarterbacks galore dinged up. I think Hermitage can first round upset, maybe not, but they get past the first round. I like their chances really a lot against PH Roanoke. I think Hermitage can go out there and win. I do.
I think Hermitage can win the first round.
I think they can win multiple rounds. You don't think the same. And then 5D, it's a 1-2 foregone conclusion, isn't it, with Stonebridge Riverside? We'd be stunned if any of those other teams got through.
I don't see them. I don't see them coming. Any of those coming through.
Be shocked out of my mind. Again, coming up next, we've got NFL picks for you for week number 10. Ed's studying his sheet diligently over there to try to avoid another 0-3 winless record.
If I had a sheet, I'd be studying it.
Well, that's your problem. Go get some sheets. Get your sheet of integrity. Back with more on Cova Sports TV, but we're going to hear from our friends at Town Bank and others. Stay tuned.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Lloyd's, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. No, it's not in the pool. It's Hatfield and Young at the Plex, the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Here are two guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom. Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here on 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to Cova Sports TV and interact with us wherever you are tuning in. Ed, it is time now for our NFL picks in the league where they play for pay. Before we show you Bruce Pearl's picks, would you like to tell the audience what the standings look like right now?
No, I really wouldn't.
Really wouldn't. I know you wouldn't. Well, be happy. Don't be sad. 14-13, I have a slim lead over Bruce. You are way back. 5-game cushion. I get to go first with your head-to-head with
I
me.
got a feeling. I want the NFL to investigate players and whatever. I think there's some shady things going on. There's no way I'm a 9-18 predictor. I'm not the greatest, but I'm not 9-18. So I'm going to blame it on the players.
So ladies and germs out there, I said ladies and germs, ladies and gents, boys and girls, if you go the other way of what Ed does, so if he picks, the Raiders, take the other team, takes the Buccaneers, take the other team, you would be 18-9, hitting 67% of your picks. Just go the other way, and it'll be very profitable for you out there. And of course, this will be the week you go 3-0, and that system goes the other direction. Here's Bruce's picks for week number 10. He's going with Green Bay minus the 1.5 in its Monday Night Football matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles, trying to get that number 1 seed in the NFC. He's surprisingly going with San Francisco, who knocked off the Rams earlier this year, plus the 4.5. I say surprising because you'll see why I say that in a second. And the Chargers, the Superchargers from Los Angeles, no longer San Diego, minus 2.5 in its game, as the Chargers are in action against the Pittsburgh Steelers for Sunday Night Football. So a couple of primetime games for Bruce. We won't know his record until Monday is done. And I get to go here first. There are 3 games that I really like, and I'm hoping you don't take them. But I referenced Bruce's game, and I'm going to start there with a checker on a checker. It started out minus 4. It's gone up to 4.5, but I'll still lay it with the Rams. Laying the 4.5. I like this game a lot this week. They're 6-2. The Niners are 6-3. They've had the quarterback issues. They've had to go to Mac Jones, who's actually played reasonably well, filling in for the injured Brock Purdy. But the Rams with those wide receivers, I know Puka Nakua's been dinged up, but Devontae Adams leading the NFL with 8 touchdown catches. Matthew Stafford not only has a great first name, but he's one of the best quarterbacks in the sport right now who's in the MVP conversation. And that Rams defense with so many guys like Nate Landman and Byron Young and Emmanuel Forbes, Quentin Lake, they're all on Ed's Christmas list. I think it gets it done. Give me the Rams to lay the 4.5 for pick number 1. You're up for the next 2.
I'm just going to whatever floats the boats. I'm through with picking. Give me the Lions minus 7.5 against the Commies.
Against the Commies. Wouldn't this pain you beyond belief if Marcus Mariota, filling in for the injured Jane Daniels, has his team down like 21 in the fourth quarter and you're counting it as a win, and then they score 2 touchdowns with extra points to make you lose by half a point? Wouldn't that just drive you bonkers?
I wouldn't doubt it.
You wouldn't doubt it, okay.
Wouldn't doubt it would happen.
What's your second choice?
Second
Over,
choice.
You going to go over under? Which, by the way, that was my only win last week. Was an over under, and your last over unders you lost. You lost one last week. You lost one the week before. You won one back in week 6 on the Chargers Dolphins as an over.
No, I'm going to stay away from over and unders a little bit, or I stop taking overs and do some unders. Give me the Seahawks minus 6.5 over your Cardinals.
You know, Seattle plays better on the road than at home, as illustrated by last week's win by a convincing tally against Washington. And if you needed further proof of that, as far as the home-road splits for the Seattle Seahawks, they are 4-0 on the road this year, just 2-2 at home. Arizona coming off that big Monday night upset of the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cardinals? All you Cowboys fans out there, they would say they're America's team. No, they're America's dream. Keep dreaming, because you're not going to a Super Bowl anytime soon with Jerry Jones owning that ship. No chance.
Yeah, and of course, Cowboys had some real unfortunate news. The youngster, Nealon, taking his own life this past week. 24-year-older. I didn't know what really was going on with him. They said that he had suffered some depression or whatever. And you would never think, a youngster, 24 years old, making big money, playing for the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL, would have things that would allow him to pull a trigger. But that was just sad to read and hear about. But you're right. I think Dallas has a lot of issues going on. So, and don't put the Cardinal hat on to try to get me to switch it or give good juju to your.
You don't need to.
I'm sticking with the Seahawks.
We'll just put the hex on you is what we do. My man Gerald put the hex on you. And we do echo your sentiments. It was very unfortunate, sad to see what happened to that Cowboys player that did in fact take his life. And we send our best to those that are attached to Marshawn Nealon at the age of 24, passing away just way too soon and a life lost. Never an easy thing, whether it's involving sports or not. Someone just to, if you're having trouble out there, seek help. And if you know someone that is, try to get them some help, because
there's always somebody to talk to.
Yep.
Believe me. There's somebody, and it can help. Talk can definitely help. And I always try to tell the youngsters when I'm talking about teaching, when I taught depression and that in school, that's not the way out. There's somebody there out there. Reach out. There's somebody out there. And I also say to the youngsters around people, don't play off when somebody thinks about killing himself or talk about it. Don't joke that. Don't play that off. No. Take that very serious. Talk to some people. Get some adults involved. It's not the way to go.
Let's go back to the picks here. So you're going Lions minus 7.5 and Seahawks minus 6.5. I'm going to go back to the NFC, and I like a couple of games that you haven't touched. So I'm delighted that you didn't take one of my picks here. I look at the big showdown, 1 o'clock on Sunday, Tampa Bay and New England. The Patriots have been red hot, Ed. They have been, ever since that loss they suffered in Week 3 to Pittsburgh, 21-14. They dropped them 1-2. A little bit like we talked about with Cox and Warhill. They've been, or even West Springfield in high school football. They have been just red hot. They've won now 6 in a row, which includes beating the Bills, includes a trio of road wins, edged the Falcons last week, but they go to Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay's had a ton of injuries. You know about Mike Evans. But Emeka Ibuka's had a really good rookie year. They're coming off the bye week, which allowed them to heal up some of those wounds and nicks and bruises. I think Baker Mayfield will outduel Drake May in a shootout. So give me Tampa Bay to win a high-scoring affair. It might go over 48.5, but I'll take the 2.5 and lay it for the Bucks for pick number 2. And then a third NFC selection. When's the last time I took Carolina as a favorite, Ed? Yeah, the Carolina Panthers at home against the New Orleans Saints. I have joked that Dallas is like Alice because they don't have the defense, and I'll say the Saints are like the Aints because, they've not been winning this year. Big win for the Panthers at Green Bay last week, 16-13. Bryce Young is not lighting the world on fire, but he's managing the offense reasonably well. Defense has been hanging in there. I know they get the 40 to Buffalo, but outside of that, they've been okay. And Rico Dowdle has been just tremendous running the football. I think he will run all over the Saints defense, and I will lay with Carolina, who's 3-1 at home, the 5.5 for my third and final pick. So to recap it, for all of you out there on Cova Sports TV, Ed once again is taking – oh, you got one more pick. I'm sorry. I'm not going to recap it just yet. You have one more to go. You've got Lions and Seahawks. Who's your third one?
Well, I was going to take Tampa Bay, and you stole it.
Oh, that's great. Take that, Bay Rivers District.
I figured that. I have no.
I used to say Southeastern District, but you're in the Bay Rivers now, so I can't say that.
Can I defer this pick and take 4 next week?
No, you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. You have to come up with a pick. Why don't you flip a coin or phone a friend? You got a friend you can phone that'll give you a pick? Anybody out there in internet land want to help Ed Young make a pick?
Yeah, if somebody wants to come on and give me a pick right on the screen here, I'll take the first one that does it. I'll take their pick. So, because
the
right now I have
one that does it. They're all scared because they might be investing on that team that they are picking, and they know if you take it, it could just spread bad vibes and juju all over the place. They don't want to get near it. They want to stay away from it. They really do, and I don't blame them. You can go back to the over-under well. And what about the game that is being played in Berlin with the Falcons and the Colts? Gives you something to watch on Sunday morning when you're having your
OJ.
your OJ and your toaster strudel.
My life cereal.
No, it's your toaster strudel. Tell the truth. Wheaties.
You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm the first time ever this season. I'm taking an under.
Oh, an under. That ain't the first time. I think you're lying on that deal.
No, I think I've taken
right.
all over.
You took an over week 1. Let's go look at it. Over week 1 was a winner. Over week 4 was a loser. Over week 6 was a winner. Over week 8 was a loser. Over week 9 was a loser. So you're going under. This is good. Let's hear it. What's your under? Can I guess which game you're going under here? I'm guessing.
Go ahead.
It's that game right there, Falcons and Colts. Too many points, 48.5. Oh, it's not for you. Wow.
Giants and Bears.
Bears, that was my next pick. You're going under 47.5. Really?
Yeah.
What's your logic? You don't think Jackson Dart and Caleb Williams, you think it's an overreaction to that Bears-Bengals being so high scoring last week?
Yeah, overreaction. I think neither one of these teams excite the world. I don't like picking anything the Giants are involved in because you can never figure them out. But I'm going to go under just for the heck of it. I've got to do something to get a win.
Melinda, if you're watching, Melinda McCain, he does not mean that. He does not hate the Giants. He doesn't mean that.
I don't necessarily hate them, but it's just I can't pick them. I think in a history of picking the Giants to win.
They're your new kid. They're your new kid.
Yes, I've never won. And when I pick them to lose, they win. So I don't. It's New Kent. You're right.
So to recap again, Ed's going Lions minus 7.5 against the Commanders. Seattle minus 6.5 against my Cardinals. Come on, Bird Gang, prove them wrong and win outright. Under 47.5 with the G-men and the Bears. I'm going Rams minus 4.5 against the Niners in an NFC West showdown. Take the Bucks minus 2.5 in their tilt against the visiting Patriots from New England, and minus 5.5 with Carolina in their NFC South matchup against the Saints. Bruce has got Packers laying the 1.5 on Monday night against the Eagles. He's going checker on a checker with me, or I'm going checker on a checker with him with the Niners plus the 4.5, and the Chargers, the Superchargers, laying the 2.5 to get the job done and their home game on Sunday night against the visiting Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin, the Denby High grad and William & Mary product, coaching away for Pittsburgh, and Juan Thornhill, by the way, who is on that team from Alta Vista for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's going to do it for this episode of 757 Sports Talk. You got some final thoughts before we bid adieu?
We didn't talk anything about college football. Give me Texas Tech over BYU today.
I agree. You know who's playing some quarterback for Texas Tech? We mentioned this on my Hats Hits IG Live last night. Mitch Griffiths out of Broad Run High School in Ashburn. That's right, a Virginia guy getting some QB action. And by the way, it's easy for you to say. You know why it's easy for you to say? Because you looked at the score. It's already 10-0 Red Raiders.
I thought it was a night game. That's how much I know.
Yeah, you're lying out of your teeth.
I have no games on.
Actually, Morton's playing QB today, not Mitch Griffiths. But I see what you're doing over there. I see you. You're cheating. You like to cheat. You go by the motto of lie if you can, steal if you must, but always cheat. That's how you operate for years and years and years.
Can't do that. I preach to the young ones that you cannot cheat. You cannot lie.
You cheat.
And you definitely can't steal.
Let's just call it what it is. You've been a cheater. And I will give you one game this evening in college football, not a day game, in the top 25, which we haven't talked about. And you're right, any college football today. Well, actually, give an afternoon game. Iowa at home against Oregon. That's a tricky spot for Oregon. I think they're way better than Iowa, but that's a game where I just think the Ducks are flat, and I think Iowa wins it. That's one I see as a surprise.
I'm agreeing with you. I think Iowa wins that. I like Oregon, but I think Iowa wins.
Notre Dame will pummel Navy. Alabama will handle LSU. There's not a lot. I tell you what's and it's on right now is the college basketball game. Your boy Ricky P. St. John's taking on Alabama today in hoops. That's a biggie at the Garden.
Good one. What do we got for score?
What do you have for score?
Is it on yet or is it coming on later?
It's on. It is. In fact, it's on now. It is on FS1, and Bama leads at 41-38 with 3 minutes and change to go into first half. So if you find your clicker, put that on FS1. You can watch the second half of that. But that's going to do it for this episode of 757 Sports Talk. Again, if you missed anything, you can go back and watch it on Cova Sports TV. We're also going to have our show, our playoff preview show coming up for you that you can watch on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, Tuesday at 12 noon, and Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern, which you can also find on the stream on Cova Sports TV as well. Those are the channels if you're in the Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia, Fredericksburg, and Roanoke markets. He is the coach, Ed Young. I am Matthew Hatfield, and we'll talk to you next time here on 757 Sports Talk. Adios, amigos.